Better. Hi.
Hello. Long time no see.
Not that long, but
I don't know what is long in streamer time.
um, fuck. I don't know. I was trying to think of something clever. I couldn't think of anything. How's it going? You look depressed today. You're very in all black. Normally you're wearing something more floral or colorful. Oh, you did the wait. Or sorry, go ahead. Was that? Did you enjoy that or? Or yeah, I guess like was it a fun experience for you? Oh, has it happened before? Or? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. I haven't heard you for the past like 2 minutes. I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're saying. I hope it wasn't bad again. My bad. You figured out. You must have bumped your microphone cable. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. What's up?
I was on my default and then I switched to my Yeti. I don't know what the hell. Okay.
Oh, anyway.
I'm one of these days I'm gonna get like a new full setup and it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. When you take streaming more seriously, okay.
Yeah. When I become a streamer. I was moving all my shit around, so. Okay. It was cold. I didn't like it. You were talking about deepfakes probably a lot already.
Yeah, a bit. I think I changed my... Yeah, my thoughts have changed quite a bit recently, though, to less entertaining thoughts, but yeah, we can start from wherever you want. What's up? What are your thoughts?
Well, are you bored about it? Like, did you already figure out everything?
Well, the final place that I wound up at, I think, is more boring than where my mind was originally going. Yeah, I think originally I started asking questions like, why are deepfakes bad? Why do we care about them? And then I started to think about like, well, what if your twin was impersonating you or another parody actor and that wouldn't matter, but the deepfake would. So maybe it roots back to some like really weird thing relating to like your identity and a thing assuming your identity. And some Ukrainian friend came on and talked about how doppelganger rumors are like, or doppelganger horror stories are a big thing in a lot of culture. I'm like, okay, maybe it's assuming identity. And then I kind of, usually after so here's something that happens with me. I don't know if it happens to you. God, you hate eating so much and you're always eating. That's just fascinating to me. I'm fucking with you. I'm sorry. You're good. Don't worry. Something that happens to me is when I get down a certain line of thought, I get a little bit worried. The next day, I'll try to take a step back because once you get down a certain line of thought, you can get stuck there. And then the next day, I took a step back and I tried to macro perspective it again. Like, well, what am I really saying? Are people worried that their identities are being assumed? Blah, 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 blah. Is there another angle? And I started thinking more about it from like a sexual place because this is very sexual, right? Like deep fakes of people skating or fucking is a lot different, I think, in people's minds. And then when I started to think about that perspective, I feel like where I wound up at is I think deep fakes are not cool for people, particularly for women, because I think, broadly speaking, I think men chase sex and they want to take sex, and that's kind of what we're after. That's what we do all the time. And women generally grant sex. They let men have sex. You're letting a guy like have fun with you. And deep fakes or all forms of candid photography or even fantasies are a way for men to hijack that process and they get pleasure from you without you giving it to them. And that feels very exploitative. And the more that I've thought about that, I feel like that's broadly, I think, what explains or informs most of a woman's opinion on why deepfakes are so shitty. Like, I'm not giving you access to my naked body and somehow you found a way to get around everything and get it, and I don't like that, and that makes me upset. I'm making it sound infantile at that, but no, I think that's like legitimately the thought process, yeah. Okay, sorry.
I think I wasn't sure what you were trying to figure out. Like, why do other people like it?
Why? No, I was curious why it feels so especially horrible. Because like initially, my man brain is initially thinking like, who the fuck cares? Like, why would you care so much? It's not just jerking off to. It's not even your body. It's like a fake body. So I'm trying to figure out like where. But when I think about it more, I guess I can understand there's like some intuitive sense of revulsion there. And then I'm just trying to figure out like, well, where does that come from? So then it's just like investigating that feeling, I guess. Like, why do people feel so repelled by it or so repulsed by it? That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. Good job.
Wow, thanks.
Like, it feels like the process that you went through is like a not the question process I think I would have gone to or something.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you enlighten us? What's your process?
I will enlighten you.
Yeah.
No, I think it was mostly like or maybe like the kind of question that you're asking is like sort of non-intuitive to me. Like, You're really like, what are the conditions that trigger the disgust and what aren't they? You're like trying to like triangulate exactly like what are the common factors. Uh, but I think maybe I was assuming that you personally didn't like being deepfaked. But if you were deepfaked, like doing something terrible, would that bother you?
No, I don't think so. I thought about it more, and no. So, but I can never ask questions from my perspective because I'm very boring. Because I'm very open. I don't really care about any of that shit. So usually if somebody asks like, what if somebody did it to you? I was like, I wouldn't give a fuck. So there's like not very much entertaining stuff to investigate there, and I'm more broadly concerned with like how is everybody feeling about a thing, because that's where like the interest is for me, I think, because I just don't
No,
care
but
about
like, what if there's like a video of you molesting a child, widely
um
shared? I'm like afraid taking my sweater off now because it's a thing.
what thing are you gonna? Do I need
No,
to cover you up or?
no,
Oh.
we just then continue.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. We're back in red, floral. Oh, things
Yeah,
are right in the world. Thank God. Okay.
no, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, I'm going to be really dark and I'm going to say it would probably be funny. It would be fucked up, but I mean, it would be like, who would invest time? A really funny moment in my life was there was a guy that started DMing me on Reddit, and they got onto Snapchat and they were sending me nude pictures of a girl that they said was them. But on Snapchat, back then when I was more active on that, I had an emulator on my computer. You could take a screenshot of it and without them knowing it because it's on an emulator, et cetera, et cetera. And I would look at these pictures and I knew that it was a fake person very immediately. It was a guy fucking with me. And I was kind of curious, like, how far can we go with this? And our sexting got progressively more degenerate. And he was carrying this on for days. And at some point, I think I asked him at the end, I was like, bro, like, don't you feel a little bit gay that you're like entertaining my like diaper sounding fetish like after like 5 days of like nonstop sex with me? Like, are you really gonna run back to your friends and be like, look at how much I like, fucked over Destiny with my explicit like chat? And this guy was trying really hard, and I'm like, this is just. And then he blocked me, and I didn't hear from him. And those logs never got leaked or whatever. But yeah, I get. So if somebody was like deep faking me, like fucking a kid, like at the end of the day, I'm wondering like, bro, how many hours are you putting into like getting like the smoothness of the child's skin right for my lolicon fantasy? Like, I feel like you're the one that's really fucked up there. But that's where my brain goes. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, different scenario. I'm trying to like see if I can find one. What if
Okay.
it's a deep fake of you streaming exactly the way you are, and you're arguing very similarly to the way you are, except your arguments are like 30% stupider. You're just like failing to understand things, and people are sharing this video around, and people are like, there's no way to tell if this isn't you.
I think that it gets close to why I don't like deepfakes, but then I think it has nothing to do with deepfakes. I think there's a broader question. I wouldn't like that, but okay, hold on. There's a lot of thoughts. I'm very rambling on this, so if I go off too much, tell me to shut the fuck up, okay? I wouldn't like that, but the reason why is because a chatter like 3 days ago introduced this concept to me, and I never even considered this before. I think your identity is sharded among people in society. Like, your identity exists in the minds of other people, and that's where your identity comes from. So I think the problem that we have when people spread fake news about us, share fake screenshots about us, or make a deep fake of us is the idea that that identity, the vision that somebody has in their mind of me, becomes less congruent with how I view myself over time. So like, this is why trans people want you to use the right pronouns. They view themselves as a she. If you call them a he, that incongruence, drives a lot of like negativity, the bad feeling. So yeah, I wouldn't like that deep fake, but only if I felt like people were genuinely believing it. If somebody made a deep fake of me getting completely smashed in an argument and then fucked in the ass by like Hassan or Vosh, it would be funny to watch it because we know it's fake. But if people were to start putting stuff out there where I'm losing debates and making bad points, but people actually felt it, it would feel bad, but not in a way that's unique to deepfakes. It would feel bad in the way that if somebody was sharing a fake screenshot or anything fake, I would feel bad. It wouldn't be novel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think this aligns with my intuitions. I'm about to move my mic, so can you still hear me?
Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That seems true. Because like whenever like there's like a weird discuss thing, you have to ask like, what is like the actual bad thing that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You have to like narrow down. Even if it's not rational, it's totally fine. But you have to be like, oh, what does my brain believe that is going to be the fallout in this case? And usually it's like, people are going to think less of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to get as cool a husband otherwise.
Sure.
Okay. But now we're screwed because we figured this out.
Yeah, that's one thing that I don't like wasting time on, and the art community is doing this. And I understand their struggles. I don't like wasting time on, like, how are we going to stop this? Because once a box has been opened for some of these things, like we're not going back. We're not going back to a world where thing can be downloaded to an itty bitty flash drive and run on a computer, and you have it all right there. Like that Pandora's box is open, so now we have to learn how to live with it. And that's where we're going to be at with like deep faking voices, nudes, I guess music soon, programming soon, like everything. Yeah. But we can focus.
Yeah,
on
I would like
it
if everybody just, you could automatically masturbate to part of anybody you wanted, because I think we'd all chill out so much about it.
Do you really think so?
Eventually, I mean, it probably would take some adjustment period.
I don't know the answer to that. I truly don't. I wonder sometimes how much of our feelings around sex are socially versus biologically driven. Here's like a really edgy question. I feel like in today's society, I'm pretty sure if you polled 100 people, 99 of them would say that it's worse to get like kind of raped. Like it's like somebody's holding you down to rape you. That's worse than getting like beaten to within an inch of your life. Most people, I think, would say the rape is worse because we have such a revulsion towards that. And I wonder sometimes how much the social attitudes towards rape and sex play into how somebody processes like a rape or sex. Like, let's say we thought that if you're a woman and you fucked 100 guys, who cares? And also, sex is no big deal. You know, it happens. Some people fuck or whatever. If we had that attitude towards sex and somebody got raped, would they carry with it all the negative internal stigma and then the likelihood to have maladaptive behaviors, PTSD, etc.? Would that happen if our attitudes were different publicly? Or is that all biologically different? I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely different. I absolutely think, like, there's so many fucked up things that happen in society, like really horrific things that if they happen today, we gotta cancel this person, send them to jail, and like make them commit suicide. That they happen in the culture, and it seems like people were fine with it. Like, you have that tribe where the boys have to eat the semen of the older men in order to become a man or something. Everybody's celebrating that, so it's probably not traumatizing for them. Yeah. I remember I was molested when I was 8, and that was fine.
You were traumatized when you were 8, or you were raped when you were 8?
I was molested.
Oh, molested. Gotcha. Okay.
It was really no big deal.
Okay. Yeah, well, and then I've heard different things of like some. I don't know if this is true, and I should probably research this a little bit more, but I've heard that there are some cultures where like parents will fuck in front of their kids, and it's just like a thing. Like sometimes you see it, and it's whatever. Yeah. I know that sometimes we see this butt its head in society when it comes to parents and their association with their kids. So, for instance, none of my audience has children, so this isn't as controversial. But like asking among parents, how old is too old to be appropriate to shower with your child? I didn't care for Nathan until he was like, I want to say like 4 or 5. Some people might find that really extreme. When I think of myself and my parents, I think until I was 9, I think my parents would shower like naked with me. I feel like I have a memory of that happening. And some people might say that's crazy, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like enculturation. I used to throw naked parties, and I remember people would always talk about before they came. It was like really nerve-wracking. They're like, "Am I gonna get a boner? Like, where am I gonna look?" It was like this really big ordeal. And then I regularly heard after people came to the party, their report was like, "It's shocking how normalized it was. Like how fast your brain just adjusts. Like, oh, this is not treated as a big deal, and so I don't feel internally like it is a big deal." It's crazy how much you can adjust to anything.
Yeah, because as humans, we acclimate incredibly fast to everything, good or bad, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think most trauma is socially induced. This is why like I kind of don't like people talking about trauma, or like, I mean, I'm very pro taking care of people who've been through bad shit and like trying to make sure that bad shit doesn't happen. But there's a way that the narratives around it are such that I feel like it creates greater trauma. Like by telling somebody that, oh, I'm so sorry, you must be really traumatized, we're inducing that trauma into them.
Yeah, you actually, you mentioned this before. You've mentioned it twice, actually. But I remember you mentioned one time that some bad event happened to you, and you were worried about talking to somebody about it because you were worried that their reaction would like cause you to have a bigger negative reaction towards it. And on my stream, I've had a joke where I wonder sometimes if there's a such thing as like retroactive trauma, to where like you go through something and it was pretty shitty. And you're like, yeah, that was pretty bad. Like I didn't like my uncle or whatever like touched me when I was a kid. I didn't like that. It was kind of inappropriate, and I'm glad I don't live with them anymore. But you could hear somebody say like, wait, hold on, that was really fucked up. Like you're fucked. Like that was insane. You're fucked. And you start to hear that. and that gets in your head and you're like, oh shit. Do you start searching for problems that aren't there, or do you start attributing areas like problematic areas in your life to like that event, or like, yeah, can you get like retroactively traumatized by stuff like that? I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious. Yeah.
I feel like I've talked about this with you before. Maybe I haven't. Maybe it was a different podcast, but this happened to me. I had a really abusive childhood, and I was like fine. I mean, it sucked, and I was like kind of screwed up in some ways, but I was mostly fine with it. I wouldn't consider myself traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I got out into the world, and I would like casually mention things about my childhood, and people would be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And like this, and made me realize that the thing that I had been through was really abnormal. And then I got traumatized. Then I got fucked up. I had like a deep rage, and I was really fucked up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it was totally induced by culture, like because when you're a kid, the things that you go through are like in a meaning making framework. Like I went through abuse, but like it was in a religious framework, so it was like for my own good or to be virtuous, or your parents love you more,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was like settled in, and so you can like handle it. You can like handle so much suffering if it's only in the right kind of meaning.
Sure.
And then when I got out, they just like a new culture totally took that meaning away from me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh no, that meaning wasn't actually there. You should not have had this happen to you. Like the meaning of this is that you are an abuse victim. And I was only able to heal from that. I switched the meaning back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you have any thoughts on, I guess, the deepfake stuff in general, or? You said earlier, you said people should be able to masturbate to porn of anybody. How literally did you mean that? Like everybody should have nude pictures on the internet, or anybody should be able to deepfake or jerk off to Instagram pictures, or yeah, what did you mean when you said that?
Well, I mean, like I agree with you. The whole like women are trying to control their sexuality and it's like exploitative or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like removing female power to let people masturbate. So given that, but if we're going in this direction, we can't put the cat back in the box. Like in a world where you can just automatically masturbate to whoever you want by providing one photo of their face.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. I feel like we probably would adjust and it would be fine.
One of the issues I've had discussing this that a lot of people are irritated about is that like I think it's okay to feel creeped out by things. Like I think that's fine. But people get really mad when I try to like tell you what your reaction should be. So like if somebody you find out, so something, there's a big drama, I don't know how much you follow this, big drama broke. Basically a friend of a friend was masturbating, not of me, of somebody else, was masturbating to a deepfake website that had like a bunch of streamers on it, and people were freaking out. And I was like, if I found out about that, if I was a woman, I could sympathize, being like, ooh, that's like kind of creepy. It's a little weird that you're like jerking off to me. Right, sure. I can, even if I wouldn't personally feel that way, I can at least sympathize with it. I can understand. But my issue is that like people were going live. Like one lady made a twit longer where she's like, I was raped in 2018 and this is a similar type of violation. And then like another woman went live and she's like bawling her eyes out and she's like, this is what pain looks like. And I'm like, these reactions are unhinged. But then people interpret that as like, oh, you're saying they can't be upset at all. I'm like, well, I'm not saying that, but like, yeah, so the reaction I feel like is very, very insane by some people. Or maybe I shouldn't say insane, but yeah, jeez.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it kind of reminds me of the ethics of cheating. Like,
shit. Right.
Like kind of. So I don't know. I just saw a client a couple days ago, and he was cheating on his wife with me, but didn't tell her. He's like, my relationship with her is fantastic, but as long as she never knows, it's fine. Like this was having like no impact on his life whatsoever. He was just like novelty, and she just couldn't handle that he liked novelty. And I don't know, it's like probably not great. I would prefer congruent realities, but I don't know. There's like it's the knowledge of the thing that is the primarily painful thing, as opposed to the thing itself. Like that category of offense.
Maybe. That's oh, that gets into a really weird territory for separating that, because technically there might be a whole bunch of harmful stuff where it's only the knowledge of the thing and not the thing itself that's hurt, but that's because you need knowledge of the thing to not like the thing. So for instance, like if you're, maybe not for you because your relationship with your parents is tenuous, but if you take somebody with really good relationship with their parents, they love their parents, and you're like, if your parents died, would that make you upset? And you're like, well, yeah. And it's like, well, what if you never knew about it? And it's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be. And it's like, oh, so your parents dying doesn't make you upset, it's knowing your parents died. And it's like, yeah, kind of. But I mean, kind of technically everything is knowing about the thing at that point, right? Because if you don't know about it, how can it upset you?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you can suss it out with like I ran into this problem a lot because like I had porn available for a long time. I still do. And people were like, well, doesn't it bother you that somebody might be masturbating to your porn who might know you? And my conclusion was, okay, if they just don't tell me, because like the act of telling me is like some sort of violation, like you're changing the context. So it's like the act of communicating the information is different. Whereas I think with the killing your parents example, like the act of telling you that your parents are dead, like isn't actually changing anything about the relationship.
True. I guess the way that I separate that in my mind is I view that as a separate thing. That's an action. Like me masturbating to you is a totally different thing than me telling you I masturbate to you, right? Because when I tell it to you, there's a lot more that's implied by that, I think, right? Like if I'm sexualizing somebody in my mind and then I approach them and I start to converse with them about that, it's been turned into something different at that point, I think, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't feel creeped out about deep fakes, but I would feel creeped out about somebody trying to communicate to me that there are deep fakes. And then like that whole accidental reveal is confusing, right? Because like the
Yeah.
accidental reveal, it was accidental, right?
Yeah.
The deep fake thing.
Absolutely, yeah, because the dude's life is probably over now. Yeah, it was definitely accidental.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I feel sad about that. I don't think there's anything morally wrong about deep fakes of other people. You just don't let them know. Maybe the morality violation here was that he wasn't sufficiently cautious. Like it's his duty to not like let those people know about it.
Yeah, I guess I have a lot of issues with stuff like that. That's interesting to me. So here's an interesting thing that comes up. So sometimes I watch things and then I type in my chat and because I'll give like a first reaction or first response sometimes, right? And people will take that, and some of them might be mean, right? People will take those and then they'll go on Twitter and they'll be like, I can't believe you said this about XYZ person. Like, you're horrible. Imagine how this would make them feel. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, I didn't say it to that person. You're the one that's doing it now, right? Like, let's say I think like I watch this video and this person is unhinged. Like, they're never gonna see that. They're never gonna know. But then when you take that and then you put it in front of them, like, look what this guy said about you. Well, I feel like you're the one that's like doing the bad thing now. Like, I'm not saying it to that person. I'm not an idiot. But like now you've put it in front of everybody else, and now you're blaming me for essentially you taking what I said in another setting and then putting it in front of them, and now that's my fault somehow. That seems really weird / stupid to me. But
Yeah. Yes. Yep, I would agree. I feel like somewhat dissatisfied with talking about intellectual concepts right now.
well, what do you what does that mean?
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like not cool to be like, I don't like something. But I don't know what I want. I think I feel physically active is what's going on. I'm on Adderall. That is probably something that's happening.
Oh,
I think I'm mostly like afraid of being boring.
okay. Do you normally feel that way, or what do you mean by that?
I think I feel more so now than normal.
Okay. Do you well, here, get that out of your system. Let me get my food real quick. Hold on.
What are you doing? I didn't hear what he's doing.
How does
What were you doing?
grabbing food from the jar? How does Adderall usually make you feel?
Well, it usually makes me feel a little more stilted. So I'm like confused. I think I feel playful. I suspect that that is what this sensation is.
Do you not?
But then I feel
What is
like
playful
bad
mean?
dumping it on you. Like entertain me.
Oh,
No, I am here to entertain. I'm sorry.
you're fine. Don't worry about it.
I'll do what I want, man.
Yeah, do what you want. That's we're all about respecting women here and all that shit. So.
I'm gonna worry.
Well, do you have any more thoughts about the deepfake stuff, or is that? I don't have many other thoughts
What's
about
the thing that you say? Like, cool, gotcha. Is that it?
What? No, I never say that. That's a meme. I would never
You
say
say something.
That sounds incredibly dismissive, actually.
Oh,
I don't think I would ever do that.
doesn't sound like you?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. You don't do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I must be thinking of a different Destiny.
You must be thinking of like Vosh or something, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. I get them all mixed up.
Yeah, for sure. We all look alike and act alike and everything, so.
I wrote a thing today about I was on I feel like weird right now. I notice my brain is just jumping too fast, and the Adderall's supposed to make the opposite happen, but I think it's amplifying it. There's
Okay.
a small dispute I got into on Facebook where a girl was talking about how because it was a dancing, so I do dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, on the dance floor, you people need to know that women live in fear on the dance floor.
Jesus
Men are
Christ.
constantly trying to grab our asses and touch us and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like a traumatic event. I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating. I'm not being very charitable. This is when I read it, this is the feeling it evoked in me, was the thing I'm describing.
Mm-hmm.
And I very gently was like, I'm very nice. I'm a very nice person. At least I tried to like do that thing. And I like validated her experience. I was like, but I personally do not feel this way. And I think this made her upset because she unfriended me after that. And then I was like, why is there such hostility to not sharing an experience like that? Like when women are like I'm, we women are under this thing where we're really afraid of men. Like, why do they need it to be women and not just I am really afraid of men?
It's kind of like when
You know?
somebody says like believe women, or listen to women. What they're really saying is listen to women that agree with me. That's what's actually being said.
Oh yeah.
It's really unsatisfying, but we talk about this a lot when like dating and sex and all this shit come up. Like all of the advice around dating and sex and everything has basically just turned into people all like in a circle screaming at each other like don't rape, don't rape, don't rape, don't rape, don't rape. And like that's it. That's like the extent of all the conversations. And every single thing is constantly like at 1,000,000% anxiety always. So like if you go out as a woman, are there creepy guys in a lot of places? For sure. And do creepy things happen? For sure. But like, are you constantly being like, developing CPTSD from like the insane trauma of every man trying to constantly rape you in like all points? And like, that's a little bit extreme. But it sounds like when you say that, what you're really saying is like, what they hear is like, oh, so women should never be worried ever. And you don't think rape is real and you don't believe all women. Like people hyperbolize everything so much. And it's also political and loaded and moral that there's like no room for any conversation, I think.
But I think my question was like, why is this the case? Because this is not the case with like a lot of other traumatic events.
Well, it depends. It is for the political one. So like if we were talking about like minority experiences, it would be, right? If a black guy was like, what the cops did to Tyree Nichols and all this is bullshit, if some black guy were to post like, oh, like I've never had bad experience with the cops, right? It would be, Uncle Tom, coon, fucking loser, get out of here, blah, 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 blah. It would be the exact same feeling as a girl saying, I don't think that all men are like super rapey. I don't think it's that traumatic, right? You'd be pick me, bitch, whatever, right? That's what people say, right?
Yeah. And so my theory around this is that like these are it's the sensation of not being like, if you own the trauma yourself, you are subject to judgment. So it's like a self-protected thing. So like what I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry, I'm self-conscious about the way that I'm talking right now.
You're fine. Go ahead.
And thank you for the reassurance.
Yeah, no problem. I'm all about that social whatever the fuck. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, making it socially smooth. It's still nice. Like I understand reassurance moves. But no, so people what was I saying?
I gave the example of black people, women, they have to validate. Yeah, go ahead.
So you need to have external validation for the thing that you're feeling, because you're gaining authority from having the trauma being like sort of present in the environment. Like if the trauma is like sort of an absolute unchanging law of physics, then it is completely undeniable that the thing that you've encountered is bad. Like you touched a hot stove and it burned you. Clearly, all people who touch hot stoves get burned because the fault lies in the hotness of the stove, not in your hand. And so it's like really important. So I think like my guess is like sort of the thing that they're doing is this like appeal to external authority. This makes them sort of invulnerable from criticism, or like if you are willing to say the thing where it's like the trauma, like I am part of the response to the trauma. Not everybody feels this way, but like I am like sensitive in some way, which I think is totally fine. I think it's absolutely legitimate to be sensitive. Sometimes this is like evolutionarily beneficial. Like it is actually self-protective. I'm not saying it's bad to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simply saying this is like part of yourself. And so like if you are traumatized, and you do in fact view the responsibility as somewhere lying within yourself, this opens yourself up to criticism. Like, oh, you should just chill out. Like you need to be less terrible. We're not going to change the environment. Mm-hmm. And so like in order to protect against that, they like externalize and place it in the environment so that they can't be assailed. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I tend to view it through a little bit more of a cynical lens. Well, here, I can try and reform or I'll rephrase and you can tell me if I am understanding or if I'm missing you. It sounds like you're saying that like by talking about, if you talk about this trauma in a public way, that you are, maybe I didn't understand it that well. If you talk about the trauma in a public way, no, actually, never mind. I didn't understand what you said. Say it again. Repeat.
If the trauma like lies in the external environment as opposed to yourself, then it cannot be doubted, and you cannot be blamed.
Okay, so you're looking for some sense of validation, basically, by saying that, like, here's a traumatic experience I had, but, like, we can all kind of share in this, so the responsibility for that doesn't fall on me because it's a shared experience, kind of, right?
Right, because if you come up to somebody and you're like, well, I didn't have that experience, it's directly threatening to them. You're not just
Sure.
reporting your experience, you're threatening the model that this thing it was inherently traumatizing.
Oh,
Like
so
by
this,
not agreeing with it, now you are placing on them like the implication that they are somehow responsible for the response that they're having.
sure. So an analogous to this would be you're leaving a class and the test was really hard, and you're looking to another student and you're like, oh my God, that was a really hard test, right? And when the student looks to you and they go, oh no, that was easy, you're like, oh fuck, I'm a fucking idiot, I fucked up. But when they're like, oh yeah, that test was so hard, you're like, okay, whew, it wasn't me. Like, this was actually like a really difficult test. I don't feel like shit because
Yeah,
I've got other people. Yeah.
I really like that example.
Yeah, that might be it. I think maybe because I'm so more like politically brained, because that's the communities I spend time in. Maybe my view is worse of it. I tend to view it as just social signaling for communities. But that could be like a subsection or like the greater part of what you're saying, and what you're saying is a subsection of it. That you join the community in order to externalize the blame or responsibility or something. Maybe. Because when I see people talk about their experiences online, I'm like, oh God. Okay, if this is a private conversation, this would be so much easier. I have to be careful what I say because I always come off sounding like a fucking sociopath, okay? I don't know why the fuck anybody puts anything in their public profile about like fucking diseases and shit. Like if I had like ADHD or autism or whatever the fuck, I would never in my life think to advertise this on a Twitter profile. Like, oh, like rape victim at 14 years old, DID, neurodivergent, autistic, like shit self. Like why the fuck would you advertise this? It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, unless you're like explicitly searching for those communities. But most of the time it feels like people are just like trying to like, oh, we have this shared thing and like I'm part of that and I want to signal that and now we're like together and like I hate men and I think that all men are rapists and like we're together in like the same kind of tribe. That's what it feels like is going on most of the time with these things. That's the feeling I have at least. But that's
I
pretty.
mean, yeah, I think this is very true. It's like tribal affiliation.
The
I'm,
part
I'm
of
having a sensation of like not being able to think, like feel like I'm not thinking, but I noticed that my words are still talking.
Okay. If you want to like chat later, that's fine too. You don't have to. I'm not trying to fucking hold you hostage on if you feel like you're
I
uncomfortable.
think I'm pretty sure I'd leave if I wanted to.
Okay. Well, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Wait, should I?
I don't know. That just got really meta really quickly. I was gonna make like a sniper joke, but I don't know. You're good.
A cyber joke?
A sniper joke. Have you ever seen the movie Phone Booth? Is that what it's called?
Phone booth? No.
Oh fuck. Is that the name? It's like a guy's like trapped in a phone booth, and some guy's like on a phone call with him, and he's like making him go over his entire life. Well, he's got like a sniper, and he's like, if you leave, I'm gonna shoot and kill you. And like the cops come, and he's got to like step outside and be like, I'm a cheater. Like I scam my clients. I cheated on my wife, and blah blah blah. You know, with Colin Farrell. It's an interesting movie, but I just explained all
Is
of
it
that, but it
good?
doesn't mean
Should I watch?
it's okay. Well, don't like watch it being like this is like heavily recommended by Destiny, and I'm about to fucking evaluate his whole like taste on cinema and film based on this one fucking movie recommendation. Okay, it's not that good. All right.
What should I evaluate your entire taste in cinema and film on?
Oh my God, I'm like the most basic bitch in the world. Okay,
Like
I had
Marvel movies?
what? Marvel movies? Jesus. Okay.
Marvel movies
I
are
wasn't
pretty
that
good.
Oh, okay, cool. I like Marvel movies then. No, psych. Just kidding. Actually, no, just kidding. But just kidding. I do like Marvel movies, but my old favorite used to be. This was a cooler recommendation. I can feel a little bit. A little bit. Have you ever heard of a movie called Pan's Labyrinth?
I have.
Okay, that used to be my favorite movie, and that was cool because it was like Spanish and subtitles, and Del Toro was a cool
Yeah.
guy. But now my new favorite movie is super mainstream and super. Everybody jerked it off on Reddit, so now I feel super fucking lame for saying it. But that goddamn movie.
Everything Everywhere All at
Yes.
Once?
Yeah. Holy shit! I fucking love that movie. I was blown away. I had a transformative moment watching that movie. I started to heavily judge. When I was talking to new girls, I was like, we're going to the theater, you're going to watch this. And if you don't have a reaction, I'm never talking to you again. Because it was a, goddamn, I love that movie. But, you know.
I'm shocked at how good it was. I had the experience of accidentally hanging out with the director before it came out, and he was like, "I'm making this movie. I don't know," and he'd like try to describe it. I'm like, And I was like, I hope this is probably gonna be like a really shitty indie film.
Yeah, it's the plot sounds like it and everything.
I
Yeah.
was like, uh,
Well, that's good. You liked it. Okay.
I deeply underestimated it. Yeah, I'm actually gonna see it tomorrow night for the third time
Nice. Do you
in the
usually
theaters. It's back in theaters.
do you usually rewatch movies a lot?
No, only ones I like. I've seen The Fountain probably like 12 times.
Okay. I don't know what movie that is. The Fountain?
The Fountain's just like a psychedelic movie that you either really like or you don't like.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Thank you.
What is your favorite movie? Are you gonna say The Fountain?
The Fountain.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The Fountain's really good. I've been enjoying Most of Us.
Oh, okay. You said The Last of Us? Your mic cut out a little bit there.
The Last of Us, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever play any of those games or no?
No, I never did. It wasn't. Was it on PC? I feel like I only really play PC games.
I don't think it ever was. I think it was only for like PS3 or PS5 or something.
Have you played Journey?
Nope, never even heard of it. What's that?
Journey's a incredible game. I've played it a couple times, like usually when I'm on drugs, and I just sob the whole way through.
What kind of game? People are saying weeb game.
You say a weeb game?
Mm-hmm.
What's a weeb game?
Anime.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, like anime aesthetic inspired. Is that what it is?
Oh, no. It is. Well, I don't think so. It's like very aesthetic. You're like a thing with a robe, and you go have like symbolic experiences.
Gotcha. Have you played
Oh,
the Harry Potter game? Are you gonna get into that at all?
there's a Harry Potter game?
How do you miss this? The whole trans discourse on if you play this game, you fucking hate trans people and Hogwarts
How
Legacy.
did I miss that?
Wait, I'm actually now I'm not fully convinced you're not like some fucking AI that just didn't get this as part of your training set.
I don't really pay attention to the whole Harry Potter everybody being angry because it's like one of the lowest quality discourse pools.
It is low quality discourse. I definitely agree with that.
I just what never really got into Harry Potter because I wasn't allowed to read it when I was a kid. And then when I grew up, the first Harry Potter I read was the Harry Potter: The Methods of Rationality, the giant. Do you know about that? The fan fiction, but for teaching rationality through Harry Potter, which was great. And so that's my experience. And then I never have the deep thing, the deep love that people have for Harry Potter.
Interesting. That subreddit poster. The only time I've ever heard of this, whatever the fuck this fanfic is I was arguing with somebody. Sometimes when I try to figure out whether I think somebody's lying or not lying, is I try to envision if you were of a different state of mind, what action would you have chosen otherwise? So some guy was saying that like, oh, like I think like I would never do this to you, or I believed this thing at the time. What I try to think is like, well, if you did believe that thing at the time, what would your actions most likely have been? And that was like super incongruent with what his actions were. And some guy made a huge post on my subreddit where he was like, this is the same thing as the fuck, what did he call this? Hold on, somebody had this. The dichotomy between the representative heuristic and the Bayesian definition of evidence. I don't know what this is. And then he made a whole post about this Harry Potter fanfic that was interesting. And I'm pretty sure it's the same one that you're talking about. HPMOR. That's it, right?
HPMOR.
Yeah.
It's actually very good.
Okay. Do you read a lot of fanfic stuff?
No, that's I think the only fan fiction I've read.
Okay. But it's not even really fan fiction for you. It's just like new writing, right? Because you don't give a fuck about the Harry Potter that it's based on, right?
I haven't read the originals. I just read the fanfic, so yeah. In my world, I'm living in an alternative Harry Potter universe where everybody's actually smart. Because like the premise is like Harry Potter is like an actually smart person, and then he goes in and discovers that magic is real, and then he's like, wait, what would we actually logically do in a universe where magic is real? Like, how would you practically? And then it's just smart people outwitting each other, which is really nice. It's by Eliezer Yudkowsky, who did Less Wrong and all that.
I feel like if you ever wanted to figure that out, the best way is always to like pit people against each other. Do you have any D&D experience?
No.
Like in D&D, there's a lot of like weird spells and stuff, and sometimes when you're playing through, it's the same thing with like the Harry Potter. You'd wonder like, well, if magic was real, wouldn't some parts of the world be like radically different? So for instance, like every single guy would have like infinite poly juice, whatever the fuck, because everybody would want to have like a 10-inch dick when they're fucking a girl, right? That would just be like on every street corner they're selling poly juice stuff always, right? And then like maybe like in the future, like would everybody's legs start to atrophy because everybody would just teleport everywhere and nobody would be encouraged to walk? Like there'd be like weird questions like that would come up. But it feels like the best way to figure out like how that would work would be to pit like two factions against each other and then find out what the players find to like start abusing and everything. Yeah. And then you'll figure out like what's really broken.
Just set the incentives correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I have a thought and then I forgot. Damn it.
Uh-oh. You always shut me up.
It's very high stakes. I have a thought. That's like the thing that keeps the conversation going and it keeps us like life worth living.
Well, just write it down. That's what I do.
Oh my God. Okay. But you do Notepad, right?
Yeah. Or I'm sure for you it's like Notepad ++, or you've got some sophisticated IDE that you use because you're a master programmer or whatever. But, you know, I'm just the old school Notepad guy, you know?
Yeah, you sent me. I like stream of consciousness notepads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of when I tried to go to college briefly, and which was very disappointing because I had been raised in a world where like learning was actually taken seriously. And then I went to some art class, which I did not get along well with. And then they told us you had to build like a universe for an alien species and then design like what kind of house would they live in. And then I went into it in the same way that you're sort of talking about, like, well, let's actually logically follow through exactly what it was. But there were so many questions about the perimeters, and I kept asking my teacher, like, what perimeters am I allowed to do this? I don't know. It was like, because his assignment is really vague. And they didn't shit. I was really taking the project seriously, and they were just like pump out something that just technically completes the requirements and move on. Mm-hmm. And I had never like met an adult that was like didn't care about teaching before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's especially sad when you go to art school. And maybe everybody's experience wasn't like mine, but like I went to school for music because I love music. I have a very emotional connection to it. It's very fun for me. And then when you go there and it feels instead like you're just kind of like in a club, you almost feel like a loser. Like I felt like a nerd because a bunch of these people feel like they're just here for a club. One of the most autistic fucking moments of my life. Oh my God. So as part of every music degree, probably in any school you should have some kind of piano proficiency class where you just have to be able to like play like the scales or whatever. Like you should be able to do that. And so we're taking our piano proficiency class and our teacher's like, okay, for our final, it was either the semester final or the final. He's like, I want you to choose a piano piece that is challenging for you and I want you to be able to play it for the class. And I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome. There's like a piece that I'd been kind of like working on and off for a while. Even though I can't really play piano, it was just one from a fucking video game. So there's this video game arrangement of a song for a Final Fantasy VII song. And it's like this 6-minute. Do you play Final Fantasy VII?
I never played the game. I played a lot of piano from Final Fantasy VII soundtrack.
Do you know the Genova theme? It's like
the really... Yeah.
That thing or whatever.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I never learned how to play that one, but yeah.
Okay. There's an arrangement for it called Genova for classical piano. And it's got all these fucking arpeggios and everything. I went so try-hard. I spent so much time learning this piece. And I felt like such an autistic fucking loser. Because I was like halfway in the slots of like who was going. And all of the pieces before me were like, it was like it was like everybody's piece was like that. And I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to think I'm such a fucking loser. And I felt really awkward. Holy shit. Oh my God, it was so awkward. I played it perfectly. And I don't know if I felt bad for the people going after me or if I felt more autistic, but holy shit, it was so fucking awkward. But yeah, fuck school. Yeah, it feels like the people... I mean, there are really, really good schools. I get really excited when I hear about like Berklee School of Music. That place sounds amazing. Like you've got college sophomores there that are better than some like professional like band people. There's so much talent in that school. And I'm sure if you go to certain schools, it's like that, but damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. From what I remember, Genova was hard. I'm not sure if I'm getting it mixed up with another one.
Genova was what?
I'm slightly excited that you play Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. My last big performance I did was One Winged Angel on the piano.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's really cool. What did you where do you get the arrangements from?
The internet. This was long ago.
This was what?
14. was 14 when I did it.
Oh,
So that was my peak.
gotcha, damn. And then you bitched out and you started playing weird instruments like the accordion and the bagpipes.
I mean, if you know piano, you might as well like use
Play other
it for
keyboard.
some comparative advantage.
Sure. That's
Kind
fair.
of reminded me of I when I quit camming for the first time because I was burned out. I went into work at a crypto startup, and then we're going to a crypto conference in 2015. And I was like, okay, I need to learn everything about crypto. Like, I'm going to a conference with people who work in this. So I spent like weeks studying like cryptography and the way different like crypto coins functioned and like what like kind of equations use. Right. I was like, this is the thing that I need to know. And then I went to the conference, and it was literally I didn't hear a single word about anything that I studied.
Hmm.
It was just people in suits being like, "Can you make a coin go up?"
Yeah.
It was
My
like hot girls in bikinis being like, "Our coin to the moon," shaking signs.
of all the people that do crypto, I think like less than 15% could even explain what the blockchain is. Like unironically, of the people that are even in it that like buy and sell and shit, I think less than 50% could even explain that. People have no, and like less than like 10% could actually tell you like what is an actual NFT. Like, you have any idea? Yeah, I think people just don't. Yeah, people don't have like a curiosity, especially around crypto. They just want to buy and sell and get rich. They don't actually give a fuck about the underlying technology or anything.
And I mean, I think I'm shocked when you say that, but when I think about it, maybe it's true.
Uh-huh.
Are you in crypto?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Why? Do you feel like crypto is
You
the
don't think
future? Are you
so?
one of those fucking abolish the Fed nerds or something?
I mean, I'm pretty like libertarian-esque in that direction
Uh
ish.
oh. Wait a second. Like gold standard libertarian asker.
I don't know. I'm not that educated. Uh, but like, well, to be fair, I did. So I've been like vaguely libertarian for my whole life, and then recently I went to my first libertarian meetup. Like I was asked to talk. Was I telling you this? I was telling somebody this.
Nope.
I went to my first libertarian meetup, and then I was quite disappointed. Like I realized that the thing that a lot of the libertarians there were doing was like very different than the way that I thought about the world. Like it's sort
What do
of
you mean by
like
that?
the ends are predetermined, and we like post rationalize all of the other reasoning in order to get there. Vibe.
Yeah. I'm gonna be really. Yeah, I had a really sad feeling. I think a month or two ago, where I started to feel like that might be literally everything in life. It's just like all post hoc,
Mm.
and some of us are just really good at bullshitting ourselves that it's
Oh
not.
yeah.
But I try not to think about that one too much.
Why not?
Um, it's kind of like determinism. It's like, is that even worth thinking about? Wait, but backing up a little bit, you said you felt like everybody was there for like a different reason or something. What was the difference?
Well, I'm used to like gray tribe libertarian. Like I'm starting to realize like maybe I'm like a different kind of libertarian because like I'm used to like the rationalists where it's like you take externalities to like set up incentive structures and like it just it's like very like math based about like economic stuff, and it's not libertarianism on like freedom principles quite so much. It's more like if you just sort of run the numbers, it kind of seems like the incentives, like setting up incentive structures properly. Um, meetup that I went to wasn't, which not to shame them. I'm happy with people who value. That seems like a great value to have, but uh, maybe I should have anticipated it.
What did you
But it
find?
just
What were they more focused on instead, if not that?
oh, fuck, there's an example. It's something like some. I remember they were talking about COVID response and talking about how like the mask mandates are bad, which like okay, I understand the argument, and then but also they were bad because COVID was fake. Um, and I'm like, wait, wait, shouldn't they be bad independently of? I don't know. It just felt like not principled. It felt more like you sort of like take the general cluster of beliefs and then believe them all at once.
Yeah, I think the I don't know if I'm gonna weed you out with this tester, but whenever somebody tells me they're a libertarian, my first question is always, "How do you feel about borders and immigration?" Because it immediately tells me what they mean when they say that. Because a lot of people most people that say they're libertarian will respond with like, borders are important, it's part of our country, like we need to have that to like blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, you're not a libertarian, you're just a conservative, but for some reason you like to say you're a libertarian, and you use some bullshit like free market principles to like pretend you're a libertarian. Whereas a normal libertarian, an actual libertarian, is like, oh, I don't really care or believe much in borders. I think people should sort themselves out in the most economically expedient way. If there's a worker that wants to go from Mexico to the United States, then they ought to be able to allocate themselves in that manner, because that would be the most efficient way, principally, to have them like organized. A lot of people say they're libertarian, but they're just like conservatives or Republicans that are like a little bit more conservative than other conservatives, and then they say libertarian because it's like a cool word. I don't know. It's really annoying. Yeah.
Well, usually it means like you like drugs and abortions
Yeah.
and not the government
16-year-old
sort of thing.
girls or something. Yeah.
I don't know what I feel about open borders. I feel unclear about it.
Well, I mean, if you're a libertarian, you want like minimal intrusion from the state, and you want people to sort themselves out the best way they see fit. No.
Yes, this seems true. Although there's something like some you need to set up like a good incentive system, and sometimes like protecting the incentive system seems reasonable to me, I think. I haven't thought this through fully, so I'm kind of talking out loud. Like if you have like an internal system that works really beautifully, the thing is like you can have the same political system, and if you introduce different people with different cultures into that thing, it can like break the system. Like we're a combination of like both laws and the culture of the people who you're governing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like kind of unclear about like how this interplays. Like I feel I'm kind of unclear if you design a system with like really good incentive structures for a certain population. Like I don't know how well that would translate for people of other cultures.
Yeah, when you say like incentive structures, I don't know 100% what you mean by that, because that starts to sound like we're like rebuilding like a big government basically. So like when I think of pollution, carbon taxes or like cap and trade, that's an incentive structure to disincentivize pollution. But I mean, like I don't think any libertarian is going to be okay with like taxing carbon emissions, right? That's like a really big government activity. But it matches the
No, I
description of
think
what you're
I'm
saying.
for that.
What?
Like I think taxing externalities are one of the few kinds of taxes that I think make sense.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm curious where the mainstream libertarian thought is, because I went to LibertyCon where I debated. I don't remember who it was. Somebody in chat. No, that's mean. That sounds mean when I say that. I don't mean like I don't know. I'm bad with names. But a lot of the debates that I have with libertarians almost exclusively fixate on different types of externalities or things like patent laws and everything. And then that's usually where we get into most of our disagreements, because it's like, oh, Kaplan, Brian Kaplan, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems like a friendly guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
but he was also
like,
telling me, I think, that like we shouldn't have intervened in World War II. So I don't know. I'm not sure sometimes.
yeah, I get much more confused about like world border interaction with other nations. I don't have good intuitions about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like maybe abolishing the FDA, maybe a good idea. Maybe running a government entirely on prediction markets, maybe a good idea. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think that sometimes I think that people are broadly like short-term brained. I think we are. So I think it's good to have like a long-term, some type of structure that's a little bit harder to bend the whims of people to. Like, for instance, like a really good example, I'm very big on democracy. I like representative democracy. I like voting for people. I like voting for everyone. All of that is great. But I think it's really good that monetary policy is ran by people that are not elected, and we don't vote on that. Because I think if Americans could vote on monetary policy, or if presidents could choose monetary policy, our country would collapse in like 1 year tops, because interest rates would go negative every single time. No president, even when the Fed wants to raise interest rates, presidents are like pushing back on it. Trump was like threatening to fire Powell or whatever when he was talking about like raising rates and shit. Nobody likes that. So I don't know. I feel like it's hard to trust people sometimes with long-term decisions when everybody just has a say and can vote on things.
Yeah, people are like kind of stupid in general. And people like don't understand. People can't think like past one thing. Like if a bad thing happens, they're like, we must stop the bad thing, as opposed to like, what are the upstream things that caused this bad thing in the first place? Generally. And plus, like, I feel confused about women voting. I'm like very pro like
Okay.
women voting as a thing,
That's
like
good.
in an ethical sense. But I think women vote worse. And it's like I feel confused
What does
about
women
it. Because
vote
I'm like,
worse
I
mean?
want women to vote that might be hurting the world.
Wait, what is it? What does women vote worse mean? That requires some qualification, I think.
Well, women vote more contrary to my values than men do.
Okay, so women vote against your interests is what you mean to say.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of
Like
part
I think
of?
they're more like risk averse and less analytically minded in general.
I don't know about that, but let's put aside the actual claim, and let's go to kind of like the meta claim. Shouldn't you? Don't you kind of have to be okay with people voting that don't necessarily align with your interests? Isn't that kind of like part of the buy-in for a democracy? The people you don't
Yeah,
like,
I
and
mean
people.
that's what I think. It's good that women vote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like pro. I think that but that's why it's confusing. Like I want women to vote, but also I think they're making the world worse. You know?
Well, I don't think that's confusing. That's just yeah, I don't think it was controversial. Like, I think that Republicans should be able to vote, but I wish none of them ever did. But I mean, like, but I mean, like, they have to. That's part of the system, right? But I mean, obviously, I disagree with the way that
Oh,
they
that's
use their vote.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I guess I didn't like assign that to other kinds of demographics, really.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, even
usually
though it
the
might be,
first. Yeah, anytime I have a thought I'm not sure about it, I usually start swapping things out to see how I feel about it. When you said that, I don't like how women vote. My first thing in my mind is, I wonder what it would be like if I said I don't want black people to vote. That's where my mind went first. I'm like, probably doesn't feel too good. So yeah. Or for me, maybe you
yeah.
like that. Maybe you're into that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that this thing that I'm pointing at feels like it's like a subset of a different thing, which is like, should we have limitations on who can vote? Which obviously is a very fraught topic, and I don't really trust humanity to be competent enough to make that decision well.
You don't trust, wait, who to be competent enough?
Humanity to be
Oh, yeah.
competent
Okay,
enough
okay.
to
Gotcha.
design a system that allows the correct people to vote.
Mm-hmm. Who, we don't have to dig into this too much because obviously this is it's a very hairy topic. But if you want to, I'm just kind of curious. Broadly speaking, when you think of like who should or shouldn't be allowed to vote, what kind of people are you thinking about?
But I think it would be, I mean, like I'm thinking about like what kind of criteria, like people who can have a certain level of pattern recognition or compassion. I like okay, putting aside the question of how the fuck do we measure this because I think
Mhm.
they
Yeah,
might be
yeah. Let's.
impossible
That's
to
boring.
measure.
We're not thinking about that. Yeah, just like let's
Like
say you're
smart and
God.
compassionate people,
It's what? What kind of people?
smart and compassionate people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry that this is the classical argument given against it, is that sometimes the interests of different groups of people heavily don't align? Do you worry that like the interests of smart people might not align with the interests of dummies?
No, I think dumb people tend to be more zero sum. I say this boldly. I don't know if this is true.
Okay.
Um, I guess I just have some sort of assumption that like if you're not very good at modeling the world, you sort of think that things are give and take. Where if you're good at the modeling of the world, you're like, things can be really positive sum. So my guess is like intelligent people on average would be more likely to have things be better for everybody.
Okay. So you kind of said this before, but I think it's important to clarify. You're not really just talking about intelligent people. There would have to be a great deal of like empathy or compassion here as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
because intelligent people are going to be overrepresented in a lot of areas that might give them like a counter interest to unintelligent people. So like they're probably going to be more wealthy. So then when it comes time for a tax time, like, well, how am I going to vote? Like it might make a better country. There's like less chance of revolt or whatever if we vote for higher taxes. But like I kind of also really want to keep my money, and this is bullshit. So like, could a bunch of intelligent people vote in a way that's a contrary interest to the average person, and then you have like huge problems in society because of that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like I don't think intelligent like if I had to pick one single spectrum, like maybe intelligence might be, but like we should absolutely pick more than one spectrum. A lot of things matter for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about something that haven't thought a ton about or feel I don't feel confident about it. It is a thing sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel when I talk, I have the sensation of my words coming out dumber.
Sure. I
Which I'm not
mean,
sure if this is actually true, but
when we're yeah, if we're exploring a topic, I think I can kind of tell when you're just like, um, you're like bouncing off the surface of it because you haven't like super analyzed yet. So I'm not like, I feel like you think I'm judging you really harshly on every single thing you're saying, but I'm not. I figure like, yeah, there's a lot of topics that I'm exploring for the first time, but I think you can tell the difference. Feel like this is something I feel very strong about, and I've explored this a lot, and I really want to argue about this. Versus like, oh, I'm not too sure about like the deepfake thing. Does that make sense?
it's with when I'm self-reflecting on the way that I feel. I don't think I'm doing it because I think you're judging me. I think I just like notice it in myself, and then it's part of what my thought process is, and then I say that because I don't really have a filter. Maybe there is some sort of fear of judgment. I'm not sure.
Okay. Why do you not jump into politics at all? I'm borrowing this one. I just noticed somebody asked this in chat because you do a lot of stuff that's very peripheral, like almost touching, like sex related stuff, like all the polling questions and the studies and the data or whatever. But it seems like you don't dip into politics at all. Why not? Do you just not care, or do you not have an interest for it, or are you worried about it, or?
It seems harder to know. Like things seem much more complicated in general, and
Mhm.
I'm like decent at thinking about like overarching theories about things, but this is one of those things where it feels very easy to be wrong. Like there's a lot of data points and information. I'm just like not good at like processing large amounts of like concrete information.
Large amounts of concrete information, or large amounts of like variable, like hard to be concrete information?
Well, like you should like know what how the economy behaved in response to this example back in 2008, or the thing that this policy that this country instituted, and then it had like this reaction throughout like the interest rates, right?
Okay.
Like it's a lot of it's hard to like develop good theories unless you have like a lot of concrete data about like how has the world actually worked in the past.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if it ever makes you feel better, basically nobody has any fucking idea what they're talking about 99% of the time anyway, so you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Do you know?
uh, like I'll say that like I'm more informed than like 99% of people in like certain topics that debate on the internet, but it's because I've done like 2 hours of reading. It's not because I'm like very smart. It's just because nobody puts in any effort whatsoever. Like if you ask the average like anti-vaxxer that thinks that like mRNA like vaccines rewrite your DNA to even explain like how does the mRNA vaccine work, like 85% of them can't even tell you. Like just the very basic, very 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 basic like high level functions of like what does a vaccine do. I've stumped some people who say like, oh, I believe in natural immunity, and also like, oh, I do too. That's why I like vaccines, and it like breaks their mind. Like they have no idea like what anything even means there. So yeah, and this goes up to like YouTubers and streamers as well. Like they're not very informed either. It's really annoying, but yeah.
That's really sad. Like maybe then if it were something like voting, like at least you have to be a certain level of informed. Maybe just like take a test about like basic undisputable facts that you kind of have to score. Like I know it's not great, but I feel like that would maybe improve things at least a little bit.
I feel like my intuitions, I think everybody's intuitions are there where you're at, or anybody that's thought about it has started at that area where you're like, okay, voting would be better if just like better types of people could vote. And then you always get stuck on the like, what does that mean? Like, what are better types of
Yeah.
people? And then you end up like, it just becomes impossible to develop a criteria by which like this is the only kind of person I'd want voting, unless you're being really dumb and you're like just people that would agree with me, which I mean is nice, is fun to say, but like obviously that's probably not what an intelligent person would say. But yeah, it becomes hard because you're cutting out like really large sections of the population depending on what your criteria are. And then if you do get past that, which I think is already almost insurmountable, but if you do get past that, then it comes to the practical part that we skipped over, where it's like, how do you even start to measure that? Like, let's say that we only want like compassionate, empathetic, intelligent people voting. Does that mean somebody that's like taken an IQ test and like doesn't have a criminal record? Or like, how do you begin to measure things like that, you know?
Prediction markets probably.
Well, what is it?
I mean,
What is
like if
it?
you're predicting outcomes.
Yeah, but like, how would a prediction market help us? Let's say that we want to vote on whether or not we have like a single payer healthcare or not. How would a prediction market guide us in the direction for that?
Okay, it's like ask the market to predict. Oh no, there's a way that they handle this. How they handle like alternative outcomes. Like if we institute this one,
Mm-hmm.
what will the outcome be? And if we institute this one, what will the outcome be? And the payouts are like dependent on whether or not the outcome happens. And then you institute the one that has the better odds of success.
Huh. Do everything by prediction markets.
I think prediction markets are incredibly overpowered. One of the worst aspects about humanity right now is that they're illegal in the US.
I feel like I super disagree with that. Here, so this would be my challenge to that. Um, I would agree with you that prediction markets are very powerful indicators, but I would say there's a hidden caveat here. I'm going to use a word that I bet people have used for your studies that triggers the fuck out of you. There's a very big selection bias on who's participating in the prediction market. Right now, if you want to participate in a prediction market, it's probably self-selecting for highly motivated individuals that have done a lot of research. But if you were to open that prediction market up to everybody, then they would become way less predictive. That would be my guess.
Um, the thing is, like, if you open it to everybody, like, markets are really efficient to, like, the stock market is really fast. You can't really game the stock market. People who participate in the stock market are probably a lot smarter than average, but the stock markets are still like pretty good predictors of the future.
Hmm.
And
Until
why
they're
would the
not.
same not apply? Huh?
Isn't that the issue though? Until they're not. Like we
Well, I
have
mean,
like huge corrections, and it's really hard to predict like when exactly those corrections are, or when is the next upturn, when is the next downturn, when is the next like what company is going to take off, what like I mean like look at I trade a lot of
yeah,
I trade a lot of stocks. No, I don't. But like I'm trading Meta stock right now, and like today, like the Facebook stock literally jumped like fucking 25%, which is like fucking massive for this stock. And like obviously nobody saw that huge of a jump coming. So yeah, I don't know. And that's just one quarterly earnings on one company.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think that the claim is that like prediction markets can like I just accurately predict the future. I think the claim is that it's like a very rapid response to like massive amounts of human information.
That's
As
probably
soon as
true.
like information changes,
Hmm.
the market snaps very fast to like exactly calibrate like based on the collective information throughout humanity.
What
And
would you
that seems like the best that we can do, right?
What would you do for, how would you predict things that have like normative outcomes, where the outcome is more of a moral question and harder to quantify? So let's say, for instance, we wanted to take a poll on like the war in Ukraine, right? Should we support it or should we not support it? The outcome of that market of like, would the world be in a better or worse spot? That better or worse is going to be normatively loaded such that like maybe a more secure Europe where the United States is like protecting it. Maybe some people would say that's a bad outcome. They'd rather have a less secure Europe and one where America is less involved in foreign affairs. How would you measure those types of outcomes? Or maybe like we
Yeah,
should
I don't
fund homeless stuff, and people are like, oh well, it'd be better for the homeless people, but I don't think morally they deserve my money. I don't care if it's better for them.
yeah, I don't think prediction markets can determine like moral direction at all. I think
Hmm.
they could just determine like if then outcomes.
Sure.
At least that's my understanding. Somebody may disagree, but like it just seems good to have like if you do this, then like the max amount of humanity prediction power goes into like predicting this result. It just seems like the incentive alignments are so important. Like you want it to be that like the most amount of people are directly tied to the outcome financially.
Oh, so you're telling them to put a lot of money up. This can't be like a 50-cent betting market. They have to have like some financial success riding on.
Well, I mean, if the market's big enough, if enough people are participating, you could possibly make a lot of money by being a good predictor.
Yeah, true. I guess it'd be interesting to see an implementation of that, but
It's like I think a lot of the problem with current shit is that like the decisions and the consequences are not directly tied together. People make decisions who don't who are not impacted by the consequences. They're not aligned. Like things like especially the healthcare system, for example. Like we're like eight different sections of things that are like the incentives are like the consequences of actions and changes are not seen by the people that they're impacting or the people who are making them at all. So it's like this confusing mess of incentive structures that just are not efficient whatsoever. If you should clarify, if you're like, if you make this decision, you lose money. Um,
mhm.
that seems great.
Yeah, I broadly agree. I think one of the things I say is that like for a lot of problems that we have as people, things that are very far away from us in time and space are like our native brain is not like equipped to process those consequences. So for instance, like I don't know if people could buy shirts if they walked down the street and they saw like 8-year-old kids like putting those shirts together. I think they'd spend more money on different shirts. But if it's far or eating meat, if they saw like cows and pigs, being like milked and slaughtered, I don't think most people would do it. They say fuck it, like give me the fucking kale salad. I can't watch this poor little pig get killed. But if it's far away in space, they don't have to worry about it. Out of sight, out of mind. And then in time, when we do bad things, but the cost isn't incurred until a future time. I think there's a concept in econ even called like time discounting that has to do with like the money value at different points in time or whatever. But yeah, like I can eat like a really shitty meal, and that's great because it's not like I eat a meal and then I get fat. Like that's a thing that takes weeks, months, years to build up to the negative outcome. So I think the biggest problems that we generally face is people are problems that are away in time and away in space. So geopolitical issues are hard for us because we don't really give a fuck because they're far away. Who cares? Or things like climate change or like these really broad macro problems that are like very far off in time. Like it's just like hard to get people like motivated to care about them.
Really? I would have guessed it was like something like powerlessness.
Um, that might be a third thing too, but I think the time and space things are bigger. I think are bigger.
I mean, aren't those because of power? Like those make people feel powerless. But like if you feel powerful over something far in the future, people tend to be pretty motivated about it.
Um, is that true?
Like if you're like, ah, right now you could work for 8 hours and then this means like in the future you're gonna get triple that amount of money.
I don't think so. I think actually, I don't
Right.
think people, even if you gave, because I could tell every single person right now, if you're overweight and you cut 500 calories a day and you go out on an hour walk, you will lose 100 pounds if you're like massively overweight. That's guaranteed. You will. But people can't, I don't think people can do that generally. Our brains aren't, the reward
Yeah, I
is
mean,
like too far off. Even if you have all the power there, I think.
yeah, this is, I think I feel confused about the question that we're asking. Like, why
Um,
don't people do good things?
Why don't? Oh, I was just saying that because I just brought this up as a thing that I think about because you mentioned that betting markets are good because it makes people invested a little bit in the outcomes, and I agree with that because
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually something that I push really hard when I fight people politically. I always challenge people to bet when they're making absurd predictions. So like when people come out and they say things oh, like I think Trump is going to win in a fucking 500 state landslide. It's like, oh, cool. You're really confident about that. You don't even have to give me odds. You want to bet like $1,000 on that, and then all of a sudden, people, when the money becomes involved, the claims
Yeah.
become way more reasonable. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of things that could. I was like, okay, so then shut the fuck up. Or if somebody won't put money on what they're saying as a political person, I think they should be not banned, but I think they should be canceled. I don't think anybody should take anything they say seriously. If you're going to make absurd predictions and you're not willing to put any money on it, then shut the fuck. Then who the fuck cares? Especially if it's literally your fucking job. This is what you do as a job out here, and you're not even willing to put a little bit of money behind what you're saying. Fuck you. I think it's stupid. But
Do you like physically fighting people?
yeah, what? No, what the fuck? I'm like 5'8". I would get killed. I'm not a fighter. Okay, I'm a Glock haver. Okay, I'm not out here looking to fucking box somebody. Why do you like fighting people? Wait,
mean,
did you mean when
no,
you
I
said fighting? I'm sorry. Did you mean physically fight or did you mean like arguing with
Yeah,
people?
I did mean physically fighting,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Yeah, no, I don't like to physically fight people. No.
There was just something about like your energy while you were talking that made me imagine you like punching someone in the face a little bit, but like for
Oh,
fun, not like a hatred thing, but just a joy.
just for fun. I mean, like I think I'm like an energetic, dynamic person. I don't think I'd like hit somebody though. I guess.
Yeah, but like fun fighting. I don't know.
What is fun fighting?
Phew. Boxing,
Okay. Maybe
jujitsu, people do this.
maybe someday in the future. Okay. Do you ever do any combat? How tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
Do you ever do any combat stuff, or do you ever play volleyball or basketball or?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm below that.
Like metaphysically, or like just you're not tall enough? What did you mean by below that?
I'm not good enough for it,
Okay, gotcha.
like in a spiritual sense.
Okay.
I really hate it. There's something about there's something about like the smell of rock climbing gyms and like the places where you go to go fight people that make me feel bad.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah. I also don't really like the outdoors.
Okay. But you do dancing. How did you?
Yeah.
Why dancing? How did, like of all the things, you seem like a person that would be like, no, I don't like that. That's horrible.
No, I have a story about dancing, which is when I was homeschooled, we did like the moms groups, like the moms all taught the kids. We would get together and all the mom families. And one of the classes was like the basics of the waltz. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is incredible. I want to practice this all the time.
Hmm.
But it's really difficult to practice dancing by yourself. So like I need a partner to come over and like we can practice it together. We can just like learn off YouTube videos, whatever. I just want to try it. And so I posted it on Craigslist because I'm stupid. Like I was 17, being like, I need a man to come over and learn to dance with me. But the person who ended up responding was the local competition ballroom coach, and he was like, I need to train somebody up to be a teaching partner with me. Why don't you come over? And so I got free private lessons for 3 years, like 20 hours a week, and that was great.
Do any of your partners dance right now?
Yeah, one of them I'm dancing.
One of them. I'm gonna buy you a new mic, and it's not because I'm simping for you, but it's because your mic cuts out so much and it drives me fucking crazy. But repeat that. I'm sorry. Did you say do any of your partners
You got
dance?
the fight energy.
Wait, hello.
You had the fight energy again.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Every now and then your mic just like blips and I lose like what you're saying for a word. I've asked you to repeat yourself a few times because it keeps happening, but
I'm sorry.
are you sorry?
I'm
Because you
like
still have
trying
the
to see if
same
I can change
microphone.
the. I'm gonna try changing the. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Am I
you.
gone? Wait. Wait. No, you're gone. Now, can you hear me?
Yep.
Is it better? Is it different?
No, it just did it again. I don't know what's happening. What do you guys think that sound is? It like drops the sound out. Like it like cuts it like 50 decibels for some reason. I don't know why. She probably has voice activity on Discord. Do you know what that means?
No, I do not have voice suppression. I don't have noise suppression on.
It's because of her speakers and it's doing echo reduction.
Oh,
Sound
that's
distortion.
probably it.
Huh. Why would it do echo
Yeah.
reduction on your voice? Could it be? I don't know if I believe that.
I do not know. And is it still happening?
Well, now it's not, but now you're getting my hopes up.
Should I stay leaning forward? Does that help?
I don't know. This is a little bit provocative, but okay.
Is it?
No, you're fine. Okay. Well, I'll tell you if it happens again. Well, you don't have to. Okay, whatever you did before is fine. Lean back. You don't have to be fucking on the edge of your seat for the conversation. Jesus.
Does it make things more intense? Maybe
No,
we'll
it
change the
looks like
energy.
really uncomfortable.
Oh,
Is
does
this
it
a
make you
comfortable?
uncomfortable?
No, it looks like it's physically uncomfortable for you. Like I don't think I would enjoy sitting like this and having a conversation. I think this would make me uncomfortable after a while.
Okay.
Does it not make you uncomfortable?
I'm not currently uncomfortable.
Okay, then talk like that if it works for you.
Hey, am I an orbiter?
I don't. Not yet. I don't think so.
Is it good to be an orbiter?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Oh, if you want to be an orbiter, Max will contact you pretty soon for his article he's working on. So it's always that.
He already did.
Wait, for his article?
I don't know as for his article, but he sent me like a message about you and I didn't respond.
Of course he did. Okay. Well, never mind then. Well, then you've already gotten all the orbiter benefits. So yeah, nice job.
Yeah. Cool.
Very cool.
I feel so weird right now, man.
What if you got? Wait, how long ago did you take your Adderall?
I took it like 6 hours ago, but it
Oh.
was a long, extended one. I'm supposed to go on a date tonight with
Mhm.
a guy that I don't know at all.
Exciting. What did you? How do you meet him?
I met him at Quillette. There's a party, Quillette. You know the news
I have
people?
absolutely no idea, but I'm gonna assume it's hip and cool.
Yeah. And I was pretty drunk, and then he asked me out. I was like, okay. I haven't. Last time I got on a date was like 9 months ago.
Jesus. Does that include like going out with partners or just?
No, does not include going out with partners. Like a first date.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I just see the thing is like I want to find a husband kind of creature, but I uh don't like talking to people. How did you and Melina get together?
She messaged me on Instagram and I was like, okay.
And then you met up?
Yeah, and I was like, you're young and nubile and Swedish. I'm like, yeah, why not? We've talked about this a little bit before, but there's like a part of a person, the like chemistry that I have with a person is very, very, very important to me. It's very hard to find somebody that I can tolerate for, honestly, for relationships. The cutoff for me is about a year. I start to get really bored. I don't want to be like physically close to the person. I kind of get bored like talking to them. I don't really want to do anything with them. It's not exciting. And for Melina, that feeling set in about 3 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. For Melina, we started talking on Instagram for a little bit, and then there was like a thing that popped up in my life where I was just fucking done with California for a while, and I got sponsored to go on a trip to like test some streaming bullshit, and I was like, oh, okay, fuck it. And I flew to New Zealand. We hung out for like a couple weeks. We got along really well, and then our relationship just kind of like pushed on from there. And 4 years later, we still like super love each other. I like still am excited to go out with her and do things. Like I like being next to her and everything. Like I still have like all the initial like lovey feelings or whatever. It didn't just like fade away. So I figure if it's been 4 years, then that's probably the best I'm gonna do, or I'll just be single forever and do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What were the so you obviously like said yes to somebody that probably you could have like pursued a lot of different people, but I'm assuming that there's some indications really early on that there would be some sort of compatibility. Like how did you know to pick her, like to go visit?
She was hot. The initial thing was just for sex. Like I wasn't thinking, I'm not looking for somebody to like date. I just
Like
want
an
to like,
accident.
yeah, for sure. Because like hooking up with people and everything's obviously fun and all. If I'm like traveling and I'm doing whatever, yeah, sure, of course, I'll fly to go fuck some hot fucking 20-year-old Swedish girl, of course, why not? But then we super clicked a lot after that in ways that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, it's the boundary for this is probably true for men in general. The boundary for sex is a lot lower than like the boundary for relationships. So there's like a decent number of people I'd fuck that I probably wouldn't date. But if I do fuck somebody and then we end up getting along like really, really well, then hopefully like a long-term friendship develops. But those get like really unstable for people for I think reasons we've discussed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that seems good. It seems like maybe like a gendered strategy. I'm not sure that the strategy would work quite as well for women.
For like the difference between like sex and relationships or
Oh, just like I'm thinking like, should I just start going around and like fucking random guys? But I'm like, it's just not the same, you know?
well, I mean, if you're looking for sex, that would be a really good thing to do. But it sounds like you're looking for a husband, so no, going around and fucking random people
Yeah.
is probably yeah. In
I know,
fact,
but like you found like the wife through the sex.
well, it's God, fuck. I'm gonna start to like regurgitate a bunch of fucking red pill dog shit points, but like I think that the strategies or the ways that men and women approach sex are fundamentally different. So what we find through sex is going to be way different. Like for a woman, I would imagine that doing less sex is probably going to be more indicative of finding a higher quality partner because you're probably trying to weed out guys that are just trying to fuck, right? Like if you're looking for a husband, you don't want a guy that's just trying to like get laid and then never talk to you again. That's like not interesting. So if you're talking to a guy on like a first or second or third date and he's like super pushing, he's like, yo, like, can I come over? Like, I really like, come on, dude, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, like this guy's just here to fuck. Like why? This isn't the husband you're looking for probably, right? Whereas if you found somebody that was like genuinely like somebody that was like starting to fall in love with you or whatever, I don't know if people do that or anything like that, then they're probably going to be chill with like, oh yeah, we can wait like 4, 5, 6 dates. Like sometimes there are women that I really like and I super enjoy hanging out with them in their presence and everything else fun, and sometimes we don't fuck until a long time and I'm totally fine with that because I enjoy like hanging out with them. It's not just sex. It just depends on it just depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah, probably the better person to talk to would be Melina and ask her how she selected you.
Well, that's obvious. I'm awesome. Okay.
Okay. So what you're saying is I try to Instagram DM awesome people and then ask them for sex, and then like maybe after a couple times, one of them will become my husband.
Well, but the problem is that it's easy from my perspective because because I was single and I was looking for a long-term relationship. But you have to make sure that the men that you're talking to are looking for, because you could DM a lot of guys and find people for sex, but that doesn't mean that you're going to find a relationship. They might not be looking for that, right?
Yeah, that's true. I don't mind sex though in general. But the thing is like when I want to have sex, casual sex, usually I do this in the terms of like hosting weird orgies.
Mm-hmm.
It just it's like a way better strategy. And so
Yeah, I mean, your engagement is going to be fundamentally different. Like, if you want to have sex, you can find like 1,000 guys tonight to fuck. Or actually, you're on the internet. You can find like 100,000 guys tonight to fuck. So it's not like a, yeah. Women are not generally wanting for more sexual partners.
yeah.
Do you have like rules in place for when you engage with people to like try to find a husband? Like, is that something that your current dating strategy is like selecting for? Or are you just hoping you kind of bump into them and you're not like deliberately choosing?
I don't know. I think whatever strategy I'm doing is not working. Like I want like a husband to fall in my lap, but I'm like not really doing anything. Like I'm going on a date with this guy and I'm sure he's lovely. Maybe it'll go great. I don't know. But like
Mhm.
I told him when he asked me out, I said like base rate chance of I'll want to go to a second date with you is 5%. He
Okay.
was like, sure.
Mega autistic. All
Um,
right. I like it. Nice job.
I just want him to know to like properly expect things.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and but this is the thing. I'm like, it's just like I don't like going on dates. But like you probably have to force yourself to go engage with other people in order to have like a shot of maybe liking one of them.
I think you have to or modify the statement. When you say I don't like going on dates, I think what you really mean is you find the vast majority of people boring, and statistically
Yes.
speaking, a date is going to be a bad. Yeah, I understand what you mean there
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's excruciatingly like socially paralyzing to commit to some number of hours with somebody when you don't know if it's going to be boring as fuck or not because holy shit, right?
Yeah. I'm yeah. I'm so easily bored. It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You can always do the. I feel like I think I've told you this before. If I was a girl, I would just use my period to get out of literally everything. Like if a date was like going really bad or really boring, like, oh, I just got my period, I have to leave, I'm sorry. Because I don't think a guy would like ever question you or say like, oh no, don't. They just be like, oh okay. Oh, I have cramps, I gotta leave, bye. I think I would say that for everything. I would stop my stream early some days. If I wanted to masturbate, I would just say like, sorry guys, I have really bad cramps, and then I would just turn my shit off and masturbate for 10 hours. I don't know, I feel like I would use
Why
that
is
for
the
everything.
thing that you thought is masturbating for 10 hours? Do you often want to go stop the stream to masturbate?
Well, what else would I stop my stream early for?
You being bored or sad or
Why would I be
tired?
bored on stream? If I turn my stream off, I'm probably gonna play computer games and argue with people on the internet. Like that's all I do anyway. If I turn my stream off, I'm going to Twitter to shout at people, and then I'm playing Factorio. So yeah, why wouldn't I stream it? They say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So that's why I'm getting canceled and banned
Yeah.
for everything. You know.
Okay, but like, what about like sad, tired?
What
Do you ever
about
just want to
what about like what?
not because you feel anything that makes you not want to be on stream? I don't know.
Did you? Okay, I got like a third of that. Do you ever nut in a way that makes you not want to be on stream? That's what I just heard you say. I don't think you said that though.
Do you ever, no, I was saying, do you ever just get tired or sad?
No, I'm not a tired or sad. I get tired sometimes, but I don't sleep like well enough. I'm not a very sad person though. No, I'm pretty like high.
Okay.
I'm a high functioning. I feel pretty good all the time, unless I lose a lot of games of League. But then I just rage queue and I'll stream even longer. So
Mm. I'm feeling that pressure again to be entertaining,
I know that's why I didn't say anything. I just wanted you to sit with the awkwardness and
to see how long I can make it.
just
Are you counting?
be a normal human. You know, just deal with it.
Oh, what if that worked? What if you like being a normal human? I was like,
And it just may be, yeah.
I could like turn on like the cam girl persona.
Do you have a cam girl persona?
Yeah, you think this kind of face and talking makes money? It does not.
I had no idea because you could be like quirky, you know. Like there's gonna be a niche for girls that are far outside of the norm that will make some money. I don't know if it'd be as much as like the cam girl persona, but the idea
Yeah,
of
but
you
if you're
like
money hungry,
you're money hungry. Oh, well, I don't know. Will be more
if
successful.
you're money
I think.
hungry, then
I don't know the ins and outs of camming. My bad. Okay, I'm just a streamer.
yeah. Wait, okay, I really have to pee. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, be careful. Ask her what messages make her respond on dating apps. True, that's a good one. We should just run down the... Do you care how much money a guy makes? My brain is fucked because my Adderall ran out. I'm worse than Aella, but I can't go to sleep. I thought it was supposed to be really hard to find Adderall right now. How the fuck did she get some? You okay?
Yeah. I know the way I said that made it sound like I'm probably not okay, but that was actually, I was okay. I just didn't say it right.
Oh, I didn't even think that you weren't okay until you said that.
Really?
Now I'm wondering if you actually weren't okay, and now you're like saying all that. It's like, oh no, 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 I am okay.
No, I'm okay. Don't worry. It's just sometimes you miscommunicate.
Okay. What messages do you respond to on dating apps?
Well, like interesting ones? I don't know.
Somebody in chat asked, do you ever do like Tinder or any of those things, or?
Yeah.
Damn.
If somebody seems to overlap with me and then they send me like something that I haven't heard before, then I'm more interested in responding.
What does that mean? Something you haven't heard before, like?
Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But dating apps are terrible. Do you use them?
I did a lot in California. Yeah, I thought dating apps were awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not use them anymore?
I haven't when I've gotten to Miami yet. I just haven't. I don't know why. Lazy.
Oh yeah.
I go through like phases where sometimes it's like for a while I was really obsessed with talking to girls that didn't know anything about me because I'd gotten so inundated with people that knew everything about me in like the streamer world. So like fans and like other streamers and stuff. And it's kind of there's a feeling of being on a date with somebody where like they know every single thing about you. It's not a bad feeling, but there's like a special feeling of being on a date with somebody where you get to kind of like introduce yourself and go through like the early rigmarole. There's a word there. Like that early kind of like dance of like introducing yourself, like in different parts about yourself and all that. That's like really fun and addicting for new people. And I'd noticed that like meeting new people is really fun, not just the sex part, but like the getting to know somebody. That's like a really fun, like intoxicating feeling initially. And it felt a little bit different with fans though. In California, I would use like the dating apps more because it was easier to meet people that had no idea who I was or anything. So that was fun.
Did you have any psychological effects that like shifted the way that you socialized after you became more well known?
No, I think I have a really lucky path through life where like everything kind of just like perfectly like situated me or I'm really well built for this job. My life kind of prepared me for it in just like kind of weird ways. Like I grew up like very independent and everything, so I don't deal like poorly with internet hate as much as other people do. Like I grew up like very geeky and playing games all the time for a lot of hours, so I can like sit at the computer, et cetera, et cetera. So thankfully, I didn't have to change much of who I was or my style for streaming. Thank God. Because like for Melina knows, like every single person that we talk to that does like streaming and has been streaming for a long time, every single streamer that you guys know fucking hates streaming. All of them hate it. All of them are like, God, it's so horrible. I hate turning on streaming, blah, 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 blah. But I still love it. I super love it. Every day I love it. It's fun waking up and doing it. Like I do it as much as I can. Yeah. But yeah, I think if I had to make significant changes to who I was to stream, I don't think I would enjoy it as much.
I think I was trying to. It's interesting to know. I think I was trying to ask something else though. Like I remember when I first started getting well known,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that people looked at me more at social events.
Mm-hmm.
I would like be standing in a group of people, and then people would physically orient their bodies to point towards me more so than they had before.
Okay.
And when I talked, they paid more attention to the things that I said, and they were more likely to ask me questions. This is like an example of like the kind of social shift that I noticed. And I'm wondering, like, I think this is the kind of thing I'm asking. Like, is there anything similar to that that happened for you?
Um, I mean, I've always been a social person, so I'm used to being able to communicate with people pretty well. But I wasn't used to like strangers on the street like asking me for pictures and stuff. Like that never happened when I cleaned carpets, or anything like that. Yeah, so I mean, like that's definitely changed, but um, yeah, I mean, I definitely get more attention, but yeah, I've always been like really social. So even when I worked like in a casino job, like a lot of people would come up to me and chat and we joke and all that stuff. It's not like I was like a really shy, reclusive person, and then now I'm like, oh my god, like people want to talk to me, like I don't even know like what to say or whatever. Not to say that that was your experience, but I didn't have that. I don't know if that answers your
Oh,
question.
interesting. So, like, you were always sort of operating in a way where people wanted to pay you a lot of attention.
A little bit. I hope so. I mean, I like to think so, but maybe I'm self-delusional. Who
That's
knows?
cool. No, I mean, it seems reasonable. I hadn't thought about that.
What? Why? Because I give off fucking loser vibes? What do you mean by that? Yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly what you meant. Okay, no, that's fine. It's all good. I understand.
yeah. Did I deeply wound you?
No, tells me more about you than it does say about
Oh,
me.
I
You know?
see.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just boomerang that back into my face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are you doing for your date tonight?
Going to a restaurant.
What kind of? Can you say what kind? I don't want to like dox your date.
I would, but it's like Austin. Somebody might go to like the four restaurants of that type, and
Okay, so it's some type of. Oh well, okay, I won't fuck with you. For do you split the check on a first date, or do you make the guy pay all of it?
well, he offered to pay. So normally I split the check though. I like being dominant.
When you said split, that's what a woman answer. I like to be dominant, so I split the check. That was very funny. Nice.
Yeah.
What when you said he offered, how did he offer? You're not even at the restaurant yet. What did that mean?
No, he was like, "Can I take you to dinner? I'll pay for it." And I was like, "Okay,
Wow.
yeah."
Okay.
I don't know. I dated. I've my recent spat of guys that I dated before my current crop
Hmm.
were people that I took care of financially, and so I'm like interested in having the opposite thing happen.
Okay. Want to do a little bit of gold digging instead of being the gold mine? That's fair. The
That would be nice.
I get very frustrated because a lot of in the red pill spaces, a lot of the conversations I have are about how like women are always seeking resources, and a woman would like no woman would ever support any guy, blah 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 blah. But actually, I know a lot of successful, really attractive women that have been in similar situations to what you're saying, where they are not to say that you're successful or attractive. Be careful. But there are a lot of women that are similarly situated. Yeah, you've had enough social assurance today that end up taking care of these guys, where it's like, and sometimes they're like total loser guys. And it actually breaks the mold so hard, and even I don't understand it sometimes. Where I know these women that are like so cool, and they look pretty, and they everything, and it's like, what? Why?
It's probably great sex.
I don't think so. Was that a
You don't think
serious?
so?
No, I don't think so. I think it's
I
some
don't
like
know.
it's some high school-esque clingy attraction. Some like I think I can change him kind of like bullshit. I think it's more. I think it's more that.
You think it's that and not great sex?
I don't think it's the
Do
great.
you know like the power that great sex has over a mind? Have you ever had great sex?
Yes,
Okay.
but I don't think I would
Like,
fuck my. I wouldn't fuck my life up for great sex. I don't think. Ooh, we're both doing the battle of the projections. Whose model of other people's minds is more accurate? I don't think anybody would ruin their life for like a partner that had great sex. I think there's a deeper type of like addiction, clinginess thing going on rather than just like, oh my God, like it's the best pussy slash dick ever. That would be my feeling on it.
I wonder if it's like different for women and men. I think I get pretty emotionally attached to people who I have great sex with.
Hmm.
And I don't know if this is a gender difference or if it's just, I don't know.
I wonder. I okay. I'm trying to think if I want to be charitable at all. You're not. I could maybe see that if great sex to you could be like a proxy for a lot of other things depending on what that means. So like for instance, if great sex meant something like a whole lot of foreplay that was super attentive to your needs, that was done in a really sensual, romantic way, if that's like what great sex means, I would imagine that a lot of those things, those feelings, are going to extrapolate
Correlate?
out into like parts of the relationship. That like it's probably going to be pretty rare that you have a guy that is like very attentive to your needs, very concerned with what's going on, very receptive to your body language, and then out of the bedroom, he's like a huge asshole. He doesn't care about anything. He goes to get a coffee and he doesn't even offer you one, etc. Like those things probably carry over a lot, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is probably true, but okay, what is the question? Is the question like why do like women date below their station?
Oh, I wasn't asking that question at all. Well, I had a contention with you saying it felt like you were asserting that some people will ruin their lives and stay in horrible relationships for really good sex. And I don't think so. I think there has to be some
Well, maybe
more.
it's like a stronger statement than the thing I actually believe. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things in
Mhm.
play, but maybe I'm weighting this power of sex a little bit more than you are.
Oh, maybe.
I know there's a guy I'm dating with incredible sex, and sometimes I wonder like if we weren't having incredible sex, like would I? I don't know, would I be quite as close to him?
Well, hold on. Different. Yeah, wait, way different things. Would you date somebody for great sex? I think anybody could, absolutely. But my question
Okay.
was because the examples I bring up were people that were ruining their lives on shitty people, and then you were like, well, maybe the sex is great. And it's
Okay.
like, I don't think any like would somebody be like, I don't know, we date or whatever, but like the sex is really good. Yeah, I could see that. But when it's like, I hate this guy. He's so fucking lazy. He hasn't gotten his shit together. So he lives with his parents for half the year. He said he was gonna get a job and he hasn't. He stole $20 from me last week. And you're like, why the fuck are you still with this guy? I don't think she's ever answering like the sex is so good. I think the answer is always gonna be like, well, sometimes he's really nice, and I see these flashes of the person that he can be. And when we were younger, he was like so much more ambitious, and I just want that guy again. But I think that's more likely the answer is what I feel. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. I feel confused about this because I think like you're like what you're saying makes sense to me. But also, I have this thing where sometimes like I have sex with somebody, it's like my brain changes,
mhm.
and maybe I wouldn't actually. Maybe it's like a rationalization thing. Maybe I have some weight on the theory that like sex just sort of makes you more attached, and then you post rationalize explanations to justify it.
Wow, maybe it's just a full-on woman moment.
I am a woman,
True.
believe it or not. You seem very correct with your gender.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's like a way of saying I'm like super masculine, right? Which obviously I agree with, so for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you have that one.
Thank you. You don't need to let me have it. I took it. Just like those guys jerking off to the deepfakes
Wow.
do. So thanks.
Extremely masculine.
Yeah. It's a masculine thing to do, you know? Um,
Yeah.
do you feel like a woman at all, or do you feel like you'd be better suited like being a man?
I feel like a alien sludge poured into a body that people want to put their penises into.
Okay. It's kind of based. Um,
Thank you.
do you have a lot of female friends or no?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a hard
I
time
think my
like
closest friends are female.
okay. Do you have like a hard time relating to them or
Yeah, sometimes, but like, I don't know if it's more than average. I definitely am weird. But I have weird female friends also. I'm like in, the weird communities where people are non-standard.
Mhm.
I once went
What
to like one of the recent retreats I went to, like I was the only person woman there who didn't know how to code, and all the women were coding together, and I
mhm.
felt left out.
Why do you feel like cuz it sounds like you're saying you have like a non-attachment kind of to your gender. Why?
Yes.
Like what part like when you say that what I'm hearing is you're saying like I don't feel very feminine or I don't feel like a female, I don't feel like a woman.
I don't have a sense of gender, or I don't know what people are talking about. Maybe I do, and I just don't understand what people are talking about when they refer to a sense of gender. I feel pretty androgynous. I am happy to like present woman though. I don't mind being called woman and you know
Do you feel
wear
any type
dresses.
of way when you are do you feel any type of way when you're doing like dancing stuff or anything like that? Like stuff that people would consider like traditionally like feminine or no?
A little bit. I think I mostly feel feminine when I'm around somebody who's extremely masculine. Like masculine to the degree that I'm like way out masculine. Then I'm like and like usually in a romantic context. Like one of my partners, we joke that he's 100% boy and I'm only 95% boy, and this is like a massive gap.
Mhm.
And he's like, I can't believe you're not 100% boy. Also, I'm like, wow, you're way too much boy. And then and then I feel feminine.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but it's fun because I think technically I'm a gender according to like what gender people say.
Mhm.
And technically being a gender is a form of transgender. So I am I'm transgender.
Wow. How
Yeah.
special.
What?
I said how special.
I know. I don't understand how people define things like that at all. I think people just like have a thing in their brain. Do you feel like you're a gender? Do you feel like you're a dude inside?
Um not too much, but it's like it's kind of hard to say because like it's always hard to know how much you take for granted, you know?
Like the thought of waking up a woman, does that freak you out?
No, not at all. But maybe if I did, maybe it would. Maybe I would actually be really upset. Maybe that's like an unknowable thing for me. Like I try to be a little bit humble in terms of like what I could know or what I couldn't know. So like I would say like I don't think I would care. Like if I was a woman, I don't think it would bother me at all. But like maybe it would. Maybe if I wake up like actually fuck. Like I actually really like being masculine. I like the social roles that come along with that. I like the appearance more. I like the attitude I can have towards people. Because there is like there is almost like an imperceptible energy like when you're hanging out with a man versus hanging out with a woman, and it's hard to know how much of that is dictated by your gender, your presentation. So I don't know, man. I say like I typically like I feel like I don't care that much, but maybe I would a lot. Maybe I do more than I realize it, and I can't perceive it as well.
Uh, yeah, I listened to some of it and then I started tuning out because I started thinking of something else.
What you started thinking of that was
I
more
started
important than
thinking
my
of,
answer to your question?
excuse me?
What did you start thinking of that was more important than the answer to your question? Fuck me.
Yeah, well, you're saying that there's like some sort of like energy and like femininity and masculinity. It's possible that you can't predict this.
Uh huh.
Like you're not like fully aware of it, right? Did I, am I not being
Oh, I was
audible
asking what
anymore?
your no, I was asking what your thought was because you said you had a
Oh,
thought. You started thinking about something else.
I did the chaos survey. Did I tell you about the chaos survey?
That's the thing you keep tweeting. Where you're like, make sure that you get your thing in if you guys want. Big questionnaire. That was on Twitter for your thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I mean, my sample. But I had people submit questions. So anybody submitted questions. It was like 1,100 questions, just a ridiculous survey, no filter whatsoever. Um, and so I was looking out at all these questions. If you're taking non-selected questions, what are most predictive of being cis versus not cis?
Mm-hmm.
Not cis is like I would prefer being the sex opposite the one I was born as was the most predictive one, or the biggest gap. I imagine I'm the opposite sex in fantasies. I wish I could play more with gender expression. I'm saying these as a test for you when I'm asking if you have an internal sense of gender. Or yeah. Do any of those do you have any sense of preference for being an opposite sex?
I don't think so, no. But I
Okay.
have like there are ways that like it's hard to separate like what is part of like sex or what is part of gender. Like there are
Yeah.
ways that I like being around other people. Like I like being a very confident person that exudes a lot of confidence and being able to like kind of like direct people or direct like interactions in a certain way. So in a way, like some people might say that that's like a masculine energy, I guess. And I like being around women. But I also like women that exude, I think what people would say is traditionally like masculine energy. Like there's a lot of like feminine qualities that are a huge turnoff to me. People that are very quiet, submissive, demure, like yielding to somebody else, like yes sir, whatever, like that type of shit is a huge turnoff to me. Like every woman that I've ever been with has like a very aggressive personality that likes to talk a lot of shit and like banter back and forth and like, like fight, maybe almost like be bratty, I guess you could say, for your kink terms or whatever.
Mm.
And I don't know if some people would consider that masculine or not. So I don't know. It's hard to know like what is masculine male versus feminine female, or what's just like words for different traits that we've named. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, one of the fun things in my survey is I looked at ones that cis women and cis men disagreed with the most, the
Mm-hmm.
questions, like what had the biggest gap.
Yeah, what were
And
those?
it's like very stereotypical. The female questions, the ones that women agreed with, the statements that women agreed with more are things like I'm feminine, I like written porn, I want to experience childbirth, I keep a journal. I would feel violated if I learned that my opposite sex friend was imagining what I would be like to have sex with. Home decor is important. I'm always cold. I have vivid dreams. I get upset easily. I don't like being around weapons. I care a lot about my birthday. Like these are examples of the things that women, and the men's are all like, I like porn. I was down to fuck at 13. I would bang a hot 15-year-old if I could. I wish everybody was naked. I imagine having sex with my acquaintances. I'm attracted to drawn animated characters. I would rather rape someone than be raped. I like large boobies.
Okay. I imagine it's probably interesting for you to try to find comparisons between like trans men and cis men or trans women and cis women. I imagine you're doing a lot of digging for that.
Yeah, I just did a big one. So for my kink survey, I did one where I looked at the correlations between each gender group to see
Hmm.
who was similar. And I found that trans women are equally dissimilar from cis men and women. And that trans men are more dissimilar from cis men. They actually, out of all of the groups compared, trans men and cis men were the most opposite in their responses in the surveys.
Mm-hmm.
But they're much more close to cis women.
Interesting.
So it's not the same. This is like a recurrent theme in my data. It seems like trans women and trans men are not simply just swapped versions of each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're like very different in the way that they relate to gender.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, the trans stuff is a whole box of interesting questions, so it's hard to say.
I'm
But
often sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I'd say I'm often confused at the kinds of things that you ask questions about and the things that you don't. Um,
Give me an example.
like sometimes, like I think I'm like worse at predicting the things that you're going to ask questions about than I am most people.
Okay. Is that a bad thing or?
Uh, no, it's a neutral thing, but it's interesting. I'm sure if I paid more attention, I could like detect a pattern in the thing that you're curious about in general.
Hmm.
It just reminded me of it because like it seemed like you like just didn't say a whole bunch of possible things about like the trans and cis divide.
Well,
And in that case, maybe it's more due to controversy. But
okay.
it reminded me.
Yeah. It's never that. Okay. I'm a very controversial person. Proudly so. It's just because like if that's like a 2-hour conversation, there's not a way to like dip your toes into, oh yeah, like I think the way that you become a trans man and a trans woman are totally different. Like that can't be it. There has to be a whole like diving into like to properly have that conversation. It's like, well, what do you think a trans man or a trans woman even is? What are our criteria for that? Is there good evidence for it? what's the difference between like the social presentation versus the actual biological presentation. There's like a whole thing. So sometimes I don't know if I want to like open up like that whole can of a conversation. Yeah. I was going to say something.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Oh, maybe sometimes because there are some topics that are like a really big topic. I don't know if I want to open up. I don't know if you want to open up, especially if you have to leave soon for like a whole thing on. Yeah, I was going to say on the trans women versus trans men thing. Something that's interesting to me is that it seems like it's way easier to be like biologically like an effeminate man. That's an easy presentation that people can buy immediately as a man. Whereas a masculine woman is immediately socially like a totally different thing, you know?
Well, I don't understand. What?
So I think that if this is a guess, I think on average, trans men can pass as men way easier than trans women can pass as women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Mm-hmm. That like if you go through a female puberty, like you can be okay as a guy, especially if you start taking hormones, you get a little bit of facial hair, like boom, you're there. Trans man, you're a male, people see you as that, like you have no problems. Nobody's even gonna ask a question. Like it's never like, is that a woman or is that like a trans man? Like it's so much so that like women can wear like male clothing sometimes and then cut their hair short and have small boobs or wear like a binder or whatever. Like, oh my God, that might be a man. Whereas for trans women, especially if you've gone through a male puberty, it's way, 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 way harder sometimes to pass as a woman externally. Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
Mm-hmm. So I wondered when you gave that survey, I wonder how much that plays into everything, because and a lot of this is feelings, because online I only know trans women. There are no trans men online. They don't have computers, or they're not allowed to buy cell phones by the LGBT committee or something. I don't know what it is. But for trans men, I wonder if their answers are more like cis women, because they don't actually care to try to be hyper masculine, because their gender identity and their gender expression are never threatened. If you are a trans man and you present that way, people are like, oh yeah, you're a man, whatever. And you're like, okay, cool, I don't have to do anything, right? Like, whereas for trans women, it's like, I need to do the hyper crazy makeup, I need to have the hyper feminine dresses, I need to have the hyper feminine walks, I need to do fucking everything. Like a trans male equivalent to a trans woman would be like if every single trans man started juicing on steroids and wanted to like Christian Bale from The Dark Knight. That's like the equivalent of kind of like how trans women present themselves. But I wonder if it's because they have to fight more for validity for their gender identity and their gender expression. So when you ask the survey questions, if it's like, do you feel like you want to do this thing that's like traditionally male, trans men are like, I don't care, I'm already accepted. And trans women are like, I have to think about this thing to be accepted as a woman, right? Because it's a fight that they have every day, you know? Sorry, that was a lot. There you go.
Yeah, I think to some degree this is true. Like people like the self-reports are like I'm like I have a lot of incentive to think about this as a woman. But I think I would find this theory more convincing if I found that trans women were reporting their answers more similar to cis women than to men. But in
but
my
you said
data,
it's equally dissimilar, right?
They're equally dissimilar, yeah. And the data set that I'm measuring was heavily measuring sexual responses. So like the things that arouse you, kind of porn you watch, etc.
But if I compare that to trans men, you said that trans men's are quite similar to cis women's, you said.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And so, it's really dissimilar to cis men.
So if I were to extrapolate just from the trans men, trans men are really similar to cis women, well, I bet trans women are really similar to cis men. But you said that's not true. There's a radical departure there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like there's a couple like things that feel like pointers around this intuition. Like my guess is that if a male is going to be non-cis, he's more likely to be trans, like a trans woman. Like there's more trans women than there are non-binary assigned at birth males. Whereas for females, they're more likely to be non-binary than they are to be a trans male.
For your on your trans women thing, are you including NBs, non-binary people there?
When I'm talking about this category, no, they're separate. I have a little to look at, but
hold on, fuck, your mic cut out like 6 different words from that sentence.
What?
Your mic just cut out like 6 or 7 different words from that sentence. Can you say that again?
I'm going to send you.
You're gonna send me an. I wonder if it's your internet or your microphone. That's the real question.
I also have a bunch of right now on computers.
Hold on. You have a bunch of what? Oh, wait. I think it might be your internet. Maybe it is. I can't hear you at all now, but your face moved a little bit. Are you talking? Oh. Oh, okay, I heard you. You said I'm talking, right? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm fucking with you. I can't hear you. Okay. Wait, I sincerely couldn't hear you before. Yeah, I don't know if you thought I was joking. I can't hear you if you're fixing your mic or anything. It doesn't look like you're fixing your mic. Who else do you think I'm talking to? Yeah, no, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Wait, do you think I'm fucking with you? Like I actually can hear you but I can't. No, I actually can't hear you. I don't know how to. I can't. No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. It sounds like I'm fucking with you, but no. Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hey. That was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's an image of the correlations.
Let's see. Oh, that's interesting too. Maybe opening the data is like killing your computer or something too.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you actually tweeted out this exact thing. I think I remember seeing this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exiting Windows on my computer now and hope this helps.
Nice.
But let's see. There we go.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, so I did measure the NB separately.
Nice, okay, that's good. I don't trust a lot of them. AFAB NBs, okay? They're a different breed out there, be careful.
Wait, is this a joke that I missed?
No, I'm not sure if I believe a lot of, I don't know if I believe a lot of their experiences. I did a thing where I tried to solicit emails from like my whole fucking trans community because I was going through a whole thing where I was writing a big thing on somebody and I was fighting with a lot of trans people online, and I don't understand trans experiences. I'm not trans, so usually the best thing I can do is solicit a bunch of feedback. Like, if you're trans, email me, tell me what the fuck your life is like so I can get an understanding, because I can't know personally. And man, I came away from those emails like super disliking non-binary women in colleges, because it feels like a lot of them are just themming it up and dyeing their hair and like being trendy and cool. That's what it felt like. So I have a bad impression of, like, if you tell me like you're a non-binary female and you're age 18 to like 24, I'm probably completely writing that off as like a fad. That's how, yeah. And then when you start to try to have like serious conversations on like trans experiences, I would probably tell them to like shut the fuck up or put up, or like get the fuck out, because you're not, this ain't it, right? Somebody that has no desire to do any type of surgery, any type of hormones, has no problem presenting themselves, like still flaunts like cleavage, has no problem presenting as a woman, blah 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 blah, but they go by like the, them, zazer, and have weird piercings is stupid to me. But who the fuck am I? Maybe I'm just judgmental, whatever.
Yeah, I'm also very confused by them. I'm luckily to know like a couple AFAB women, that category people who are like aren't very dumb, are actually like, quite smart and like good at introspection and kind. And after talking to them, I got the impression that for them, being non-binary is more about like wanting to be very particular about signaling.
Yeah.
Like if you say you're a woman, people assume certain things about you, and you want to make sure that people are not assuming those things about you. Which, like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's largely what I got from a lot of the more legitimate non-binary experiences, is that there's a lot of like bad feelings that come about when you're gendered either way sometimes, depending on the circumstances. But yeah.
Yeah. They're really aggro though. For once I went into like I'm in a ton of Facebook groups, and then I was trying to, I think, make a survey about non-binary stuff, and then made a post in a Facebook group with a bunch of questions about what it's like to be non-binary. No demands at all that anybody answer them. Just like, here's a bunch of questions if you want to answer them. Dude, the amount that it was horrible. People, you're not supposed to ask those people questions, I guess.
What do you mean?
Chased me out of the Facebook group.
Because they thought that you were trying to like invalidate their experience or something?
Yeah, no, they're like, why would you come into a space and demand our labor for free? We're not here to educate you. You need to go educate yourself. That sort of thing.
Sure. I think I think one of the worst things that happened to like online LGBT groups, it happened with sex workers too, is that all of them have to be some weird fucking flavor of like fucking Marxist communist shit. And it all got like super political. Like it's so irritating. Like how many, it happened a lot with a lot of the sex worker community, at least the ones on fucking Twitter, where they're all like fucking
No,
Marxist
it's true.
communists. Yeah. And then it's happened with a lot of LGBT people too, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a trans whatever. Let me tell you about the material conditions. I'm like, fucking kill me. Oh my God. Yeah.
How did that happen? Like, why are they bad at politics?
I wouldn't say they're bad at politics. I would say that it's probably, you probably could guess it. You could probably extrapolate it from like, if you think about like far right people versus far left people, which communities are more likely to be welcoming to sexual degenerates, like
Yeah,
people
so
that are
you're
often
just like going in that direction.
exactly, yeah. You'd veer super hard off. That'd be my imagination. Yeah.
Do you see anything in the opposite direction? Like, are there any like, marginalized rightist communities that tend to go far right?
Incels.
Do the right wingers in general like incels though? Like,
Yes.
do they accept
Well,
incels?
I don't know if I would say, oof, careful. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Or do I have that backwards? Something like that. In general, conservatives probably wouldn't be accepting of incels, but incels are almost all conservative, I would say. Now,
Yeah,
they'll
okay.
never say that. They'll never agree to that online. And I'm sure there's already people telling me, like, no, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. But all of them, if you check their Twitters, it's going to be like, LOL, Trump is the best, and blah, 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 and Biden has Alzheimer's, and I don't believe in the vaccines, and I think the Ukraine war is for bots. It's going to be every single, but they'll say, like, oh, well, I'm not a Republican. It'll be some dumb shit like that. But, like, yeah, like 98% of, like, red pill, PUA, incel, like, all of that sphere of stuff is going to be, like, largely conservative leaning ideologically, and then conservative voting when it comes time to show in the polls. Yeah.
Yeah, but probably a shared thing of like not liking women. Ah, I wish I could pull up data because this is one. So in my care survey, I did like I don't know how to do this, so don't trust me. But I did like factor analysis and PCA on my data
Mm-hmm.
to see like if you include all questions. And the first one was like the QAnon spectrum. The most predictive one was like a QAnon to like same, not like standard the political spectrum, and the second one was like a right left spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and the third was horny to not horny spectrum, and the fourth was it's incel. It was something about like I'm not sure because you look at the questions and you sort of have to extrapolate like what the thing how the questions have in common.
Mm-hmm.
But there was definitely like an incel vibe to it, and I don't know where I was going with that. That was just on my mind, and so I said it.
Well, what was the incel thing correlated with, or what factor, I guess?
Uh, well, like what other questions? Okay, wait, maybe I
Yeah.
can. I'm to open.
Okay, here. While it does that, let me go grab a drink real quick while you lag your way through opening that document. One sec.
Okay. He's gone. Let's trash the house. Invite all your friends. Ugh, God, it's not loading. Now we can all say what we're really thinking. I can finally honest. I've been holding it back this time. But really, the thing that we all know. I'm gonna act totally normal. Come back though. Don't let him know what we're saying. Why the fuck? I'm sorry. When I'm loading anything on my computer. Oh, you know what you're saying. You know exactly what's going on. Damn it. My computer, bro. I made a bad choice in purchasing this one.
Are you okay? You look so shocked. What happened? Are you okay? Oh, I can't hear you again. I'm not trolling. I'm sorry. Why? What do you do? Wait, did you say you did order a microphone or no?
No, I didn't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I changed my microphone again. I need to also, I don't know what's going on. There's like a plethora of suspicious, I think my computer's haunted and I don't want to try to fix it, so I think I'm just going to get a new one.
Are you like, you could very easily post like a fucking GoFundMe or some shit, right?
I have like a throne wish list.
Yeah, but like
But
wish
I
lists
try
are
not
like
to-
people don't engage with that as much because it's like because I have to go find like just think from a marketing perspective how many click throughs and blah blah blah. But if you were like guys, I want to do data on the coolest fucking blah 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 ever, but like and you even tweet this because you hint at this. You're like, oh, like I learned Python and I got this big database and my computer still lags. You talk about this. That should be followed up with if you want to help me get a new computer so I can give you all your coolest sex data right here. Donate blah blah blah. Because realistically, like you could raise a fuck ton of money and you would only need like $3,000 to have an ungodly computer for what you use it for. You don't need a huge graphics card or anything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, really? Maybe I should try it more. I've been like kind of careful to not on my, my non-porn social media to ask for money.
Why?
Maybe I'm like I associate asking for money to be like a sex thing.
Maybe you should get over yourself. Do you have a really hard time asking people for things?
Yes.
Okay.
I have an incredibly hard time.
That's good. I do too. So I know the feeling. But yeah, you should get over yourself and just do it.
Yeah. I just like maybe I just assume people won't. Maybe that's actually what's going on. But I could try it.
Mm-hmm. She only asks people
The
to buy
thing
her
is, like,
penis statues. Interesting.
I tweeted that I was having trouble processing data on my computer, and everybody was like, "You need to upgrade a cloud." Like they were like, "There's solutions to this," and I don't want to go learn the solutions. I'm just like I'm assuming people are gonna be like, "You shouldn't buy. We're not gonna give you money to have a new computer. You should just like upgrade to Amazon Web Services or something."
Well, do you store it and process it on your computer?
Yes.
Well, how the fuck would an Amazon Web Process help you? Or my...
Because you're apparently supposed to be able to store the data and then make queries from your computer.
Wouldn't you, you know more about this than me, but the way I would imagine is that you'd store the data on the cloud and then they would do all the processing over there and then your computer would be the one making the queries. That'd be my guess.
Okay, no.
Right?
I know so little about that. That sounds right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because like they would have the data and then they do all the processing and they've got the architecture for it. And then you'd say like, hey, I want this piece of data. You push a button and then their servers would do all the computing and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure if I can justify asking for.
Don't do that, but that's so lame. You would rather be
able.
able to process, if you can do it locally, you'd rather do it locally. Why the fuck would you need a fucking server and AWS and all that shit? It would be more fun. It'd be better to just be able to do it locally.
Yeah, and plus I want to be able to do video games again. I got like a new computer for traveling and it can't run games on it really. Like I'm having trouble streaming you and a lot of tabs at the same time.
Wait, you have a lot of trouble streaming what?
You like this. I was trying to load like data while I was streaming and my computer couldn't handle it. So
Gotcha. What kind of computer do you have right now?
I have an LG Gram laptop.
I don't know what that means. LG Gram laptop.
I just wanted something really light that I could travel with, and I'm just turning out that I don't actually want to make the sacrifices that requires.
Oh, why not have like you live where you're at right now, right?
I do.
Why not get like a desktop, like a computer that...
I haven't had one of those in like 15 years. Should I? Are they back?
Is that... You haven't had a computer in 15 years?
I've had laptops. I've had like pretty beastly gaming laptops, which are really great.
You should get like a small desktop. You should. Before I left, I was gonna ask if you could just use Melina's, because we have an apartment in Austin that she visits like every few months, and she's got like a desktop and everything set up there. But I was gonna say, we moved to the store, we bought that for like $800, and it works well. She like streams with it, like it works fine.
Oh.
You could buy like an $800 desktop and then like $150 or $300 and get two like 17, 19-inch monitors and be fine. Like you could do that.
Yeah, I need to. I need to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I just like started doing OnlyFans again, so like now I might have money to dump because if I'm gonna dump money on it, I want to like have like a really nice setup.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, if you want like a really nice setup,
So
then you're looking at more money. But okay.
yeah, I don't mind spending more money. I don't know. I don't know. I just want money. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
so yeah,
hey,
we'll
if you
see
ever
if
have
the
any
OnlyFans goes well.
computer questions or problems, I'm kind of the computer expert. So just let me know if you have like
Yeah.
questions for shit to buy. Yeah.
Okay. What should I buy?
I didn't mean right now. I don't know what you should get right now.
Yeah, I want to be able to run my video games and process my data. But the thing is, I need to make decisions about if I want it to be on like one laptop that I travel with, or if I should have two machines, which is a little more annoying.
Well, the question is, what do you want to do on your travel system?
Depends on how long I'm traveling for. I want to be able to like walk around in a backpack easily. It's mostly the weight that I'm concerned
Well, but
about.
okay, but the question is like, do you want to be able to? You're in the Amazon fucking rainforest, and you just get an idea of like a really sick fucking analysis that you could do, or some factoring, and you're like, I want to pull out my laptop and open my whole data set and go through all my shit right now. Or do you just want a laptop that you can like tweet from and like browse the internet from and maybe play like a soft game or something, right?
Yeah, I think I don't need to do intense data analysis on a laptop. I think
Okay.
I could probably just get a poop laptop.
Yeah. So then the laptop is whatever. You just need something that's like you can probably get like a $1,000 to $1,500 laptop that would like play games well if you just want to like play games while you're traveling, or something cheaper than $1,000 if you just need like something to like check emails on and chat on. You could probably find something for like $700 or $800 or less maybe even. But then you want like your money going towards the desktop that you have at your house, where you want like a beefy processor because you want to be able to do lots of data stuff, and then you probably want like a pretty big graphics card because you want to do a lot of video game stuff, depending on the types of video games
Okay.
you play.
Maybe I'll like ping you for like recommendations. Maybe I will build a. Wait, you could just buy pre-order. You can buy an already built PC, right? Like you don't have to build your own anymore, right?
You can do that, or you can build your own and stream it and get a whole bunch of fucking viewers doing it because everybody will laugh at you while you're potentially fucking it up and everything.
Oh yeah, people love watching you fuck up.
True. DBZM1K3. Thank you for the €100 pound things again. I love you, buddy.
I remember my dad was an IT guy before he became an evangelist, and he would show me when I was very young how to build computers, but I don't remember any of it anymore.
Wait, you said you're like my age, right? I always forget how old you are. I'm sorry.
I'm 30.
Oh, okay. You're a little younger than me. Building computers when we were young was a bit different. Was it that different? We had AGP slots instead of PCI Express slots. It's probably about the same, I guess. I don't know. You could figure it out though. You're slightly above average intelligence. I think you could handle it. I think you could do it.
Uh-huh.
I think
I'm
you
really
could.
just laying on the compliments today.
I think you could figure it out. It's like Legos, but for like retards. It's like literally like 7 Lego blocks. Like you put the thing in and you push the button. Like imagine the average fucking moron that you argue with on Twitter, right? And this guy's probably built his own PC. It can't be that hard, right?
Yeah. I think the thing is attention span. I just get frustrated. But I can do it.
Well, you're
I
loaded
believe
up
in
on
myself.
Adderall right now, okay? Pop a couple of those
Okay.
Adderall XLs or XRs or extended, whatever the fuck they are, and then sit down and yeah, really think about it.
I feel like I want to do a lot of physical comedy. I think this is the sensation that I'm having. But there's no good outlet to do physical comedy. Like if I start doing weird physical shit, I don't think it's gonna go over well.
Well, what do you mean by go over well?
Like, I don't know, you want to be perceived as like cool,
By
right?
Well, when you say go over well, do you mean is it going to be funny to you? Is it going to be funny to me, or is it going to be funny to the audience, or some
You
combination of
and
all three?
audience.
Okay. Um, I'm not sure. I don't know a lot of physical comedy. I'm not a physical comedy kind of guy. I know like Carrot
Not
Top who would
physical.
like pull out like props and stuff. That's probably not what you mean though.
No.
What is an
What's that
example of
one?
physical comedy?
Um, I don't, like I saw a good video on what's Hot Fuzz.
Yes.
that seems like a physical comedy.
Oh, are you thinking of the Every Frame a Painting guy?
Yes, that
Yes.
one. That was nice.
Simon
I
Pegg
felt very touched by that.
or Edgar Wright is a really good director. And that's a really good YouTube video too. Yeah.
But you seem very stable. Every time I've talked to you, you seem like exactly the same person.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm 34. If my identity was ultra in flux, that would be uh, pretty catastrophic probably for my sense of identity.
It doesn't have to be identity. It can be mood or vibes.
Oh. I think that's because all of the circumstances that we're meeting have just been like, this is a casual conversation where we're just kind of like mining each other for interesting things to talk about. But my identity would be significantly different if you like called me to like have an argument. Like I want to debate. I think that your take on media, something is wrong, in which case it would be kind of a fun argument, or like a debate on like a political thing, in which I'd probably be more passionate, and then I would be in fighting mode. But
Yeah, I wish we could debate on something that we both know a lot about.
um, sure, yeah, I can't think of anything that we would both know a lot about that we would disagree with. I'm not sure.
You know, it's because there's one true truth, and we were both competent enough to have arrived at it.
Um, unironically, a little not exactly that pretentiously, but I would say that like most people that are like decently intelligent, I feel like we're probably going to agree on most things, and so like it's very hard. Like my favorite types of interactions are very combative, but obviously it's hard to have that with people that I get along with really well because we probably agree with most things anyway. So yeah, like
Yeah, so
like
we have to shoot the shit.
yeah, basically. There's times where I bring a lot of like experts on stream to talk about like some of the academic, or from an academic perspective, a lot of things we've been going over on stream, not to jerk myself off. And it's more just because I try to read their opinions to figure out what's the right way to think about a thing. But then we end up agreeing the whole time, so it's really boring. So we bring like some expert, subject matter expert on a topic to come on and chat, and it's like, that's really boring. But then I can drag on some retard from Twitter that has a totally different opinion about it, and that conversation is 50 million times more interesting just because there's a lot of disagreement and fighting and back and forth to be had there. So I think that's actually, I think like a big character defect or flaw that I have, and that most of my fun interactions come from like adversarial engagement. So I'll end up bouncing into people that I get along with really well, but we don't disagree on a lot, so we end up just not talking or doing much, and that's like, yeah, that probably selects what really talks to people. So like for instance, like do you know who Lav was?
Did you mention her?
Kind
I've
of,
heard the
yeah.
name.
They came as a pair on my stream, Max and Lav. But like those are two really good examples of people that have completely different viewpoints from me that I fought with a fucking ton, but it was super fun. I loved it. That was so like I'll have Max or Lav on my stream like every fucking day arguing about shit because we disagree so much and so passionately, and that's like really fun for me. But obviously, selecting for those types of people has other downstream negative impacts on your life, stream, career, health, physical health, depending on how crazy things get. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why fighting is I don't actually like fighting, but there's something in that I appreciate, like something like the tension. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think I just keep getting into fights online because some part of me is interested in it. Maybe that's the same kind of thing that you have.
That there's an interest in it, or
Like I don't know, uh I don't like it when people are mad at me, but there's something exciting about it.
there is.
So what do we do?
Yeah, I don't know.
We can circle.
How do you do that again? You've mentioned this like 2 or 3 times, and I think I've had to ask you every time. It had something to do with meditating or something. The name is very
Yeah.
unintuitive.
Yeah, I'm not sure we actually should circle. I'm just like saying
Oh,
it. But
oh, okay.
you talk about the present moment and your feelings,
Oh,
and the thing is, it's like it can be boring to watch.
sounds like it'd be pretty slow for the audience. Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
that's what I was doing with Mr. Girl during our conversation. I think I mentioned that.
We're circling. What did you
Yeah. Well, he started
just
doing something. I just started circling as a response. So
somebody wrote this in chat when you started the conversation off. Apparently, he got really mad, and then now I just remembered seeing it in the emails that you guys leaked of each other. That when you ate, that was like a tactic. Why would you do that to him?
that was a tactic.
Yeah, I think you actually eat on stream to throw people off to see their response because it's like traditionally like a rude thing.
Oh, eating.
Yeah, and you're kind of like breaking a norm, and you do that. You engage in like, I'm gonna eat and see how they respond, and then I'm gonna like play with that reaction from there. I think you do that intentionally.
Oh, you're making a claim about my intentions, which is I
Yeah,
think is a little spicy.
yeah.
Uh, no, genuinely, I think I'm not aware enough of social norms to even know that that was supposed to be bad.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't
I
actually.
often run into this accidentally. I often like am accidentally like doing things I think are totally completely fine, and then people get mad at me because they're like, "Oh, you're doing that deliberately." And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Gotcha. Okay. I don't actually think that.
Yeah.
I'm curious if I could mind fuck you enough that you'd get really mad, and then that would be really entertaining. But
Oh yeah. I think it's relatively hard to get me mad. You have to be like, what's her face, Megan, in that debate.
I think it's really mind fuck. I think it's really annoying to have somebody tell you your state of mind, especially if you disagree with it. Like if I keep saying like I think you do this because you're trying to do that. I think you do this because you want to do this, and it's like not congruent with why you're doing it. And I keep saying it over and over again, and then you feel like I feel that, and my position becomes like immovable. I think that that's a really frustrating experience for people.
Yeah, but usually I think this is I think I remember like Mr. Ghost doing this with me, but like there's usually motivation for it, right? Like if somebody really assumes this thing about you,
Hmm.
um, then like what is it about them that makes them want to view that way? Like what about them? What their attachments to the world would be lost if you know if you were actually different? And so that's an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah, a little bit. Like people understand the world in a certain way, and if you are not aligning with what they're saying you are doing, then it kind of breaks their understanding, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I say that like you're eating just to fuck with me, because it's inconceivable that somebody would just eat food on a stream. So you have to be fucking with me. Otherwise, my understanding of people is like fundamentally flawed in some way. So that like no matter what you say, you're not going to convince me otherwise because it would break my whole view of humanity for you to be eating for any other reason than to fuck with me. Does that make sense? Like that?
Yeah, and then you can explore that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be like do you is the thing that you believe that my eating means that you that like I don't like you or something, or like you figure out like what the thing is that it indicates,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just explicitly address that. You're like, oh, well, I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they don't believe you, then you can just be like, I feel sad and hurt that you don't believe me and whatever. You just
Sure.
like are honest. I
Yeah.
really think that you're just like consistently, directly honest and earnest about basic truths that this is really safe. Like you can have any kind of conversation like that.
If people are willing to engage in that type of communication.
Well, if you are, I mean,
Yeah.
even if somebody else isn't, like this is kind of like independent of the other person, at least to some degree.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sometimes I'm having trouble when you say you. I don't know if you're talking about me or if you just mean like you, like a general you.
I think in general, you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not
Gotcha.
talking about you.
Yeah. Okay.
You.
Okay. Sometimes I get lost in that. But yeah, I agree. When people are willing to acknowledge basic fundamental things that are true without like playing weird games or anything around them, it feels, and then to have like a safe space to have those conversations is a more productive and better conversation to have than if you feel like there's like a lot of weird mindfucky stuff or games being played or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that this is like true, like very obviously true for like intellectual disagreements, but I think it's like quite true for like personal ones too. Like if you're like, I think that you're doing some sort of manipulation thing, then you just are very simple, very explicit,
Mm-hmm.
and like say the things that like might be obvious but should be said anyway.
Yeah, but then you have to be open to being wrong too, though, right? Like if
Yeah,
you yeah, like if you
but
tell someone I think you're being manipulative, but you have to be careful you're not really saying like I think you're being manipulative and nothing you say is going to convince me otherwise. That's like probably a bad situation to be in, right?
yeah, that's like one of the circling rules is that you're supposed to like figure out what inside yourself is the thing that's making you say a thing about someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying like I want to say I think you're being manipulative, like what is the actual thing underneath it? Like you like maybe that person said something that made you feel like they weren't being fully honest,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're feeling like distrustful, like some part of you just doesn't believe them. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's actually what's going on. Just say, I noticed that I just don't believe you right now. And this is not necessarily an accusation. It's just like my reaction that I'm having to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you can like frame things in a way that like I own the thing, then
Mm-hmm.
that can be really nice.
Yeah, it's an invitation to discuss rather than like an accusation of something, right?
I think I would maybe when you're in Austin, you should come circling because I'd be just curious to see your analysis on it, like in a group, like watching other people go through this process.
Sure, maybe. I think I'll be there. I think April something is like my next event or March something, but yeah, or maybe sooner. Let's see.
I'm gonna be probably out, gone until like late April, so
Oh well, my bad. In San Francisco,
in Montenegro.
where is that at?
Wow. It's in Europe.
Nice one. Was that the physical comedy you were talking about? I'm just kidding.
A little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I appreciate it. Appreciate being noticed.
Nice. Good job. In the Balkans. Wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing out there? Are you allowed to say?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Wow.
A friend is doing a project, so
Wow. Okay. How long are you out there for? Are you allowed to say that?
I don't know, maybe a month or it's like a 2 month thing. Maybe I'll do a little bit or a long time. I'm trying to do the husband finding thing. I'm like, probably curated communities are a good place to do husband hunting.
Do you think you'll find one in Montenegro?
Well, I mean, other people are probably gonna be flying to that country.
Okay. Oh, so it's an event where multiple people are going for the same type of project. Wow.
Yeah.
In a couple months. We
Yeah.
should be able to narrow this down. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
I don't know. I don't think there's any information about it, like outside.
I'm just waiting for you to leak more and more details, but somebody will figure it out. Someone will make a
Yeah,
subreddit
I
post
don't think
tonight saying like,
I don't think it's supposed to be like actually that secret. It's not a big deal.
oh, okay.
Otherwise, I would be much more careful.
Gotcha.
Do you ever go to any like fancy like retreat community style pop-up experiment stuff?
Why is that what you're doing in Montenegro?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Do you go to a lot of them?
Kind of.
What does kind of mean?
What's it to you?
Well, I'm just making conversation. Jeez.
You should make a conversation.
What's your favorite kind of those
This
to go
guy,
to?
this guy tonight's gonna get some weird energy off me.
You're gonna. It look that blue bottle makes it look like you're drinking like Gatorade, or is it water, or what is it?
It's
Just water. Okay.
Okay, sorry, you were saying something and I interrupted because I was trying to be sassy.
Nice, good job. No, I was just asking like, what is like your favorite type of those events to go to?
Well, so I've been kind of hosting them. Um, it's just like what happens if you take like a bunch of people that you think are going to work well together and you put them in a container for, a week or so. And then usually people can host their own workshops or stuff. I went to one official conference that was trying to do this and I was not super impressed.
Damn.
But I don't know. But I guess I'm interested in experimental community and you seem to be happy online.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of the same fears that you have, and that investments in people are very scary because usually it's really fucking boring. If there was a workshop like that, I imagine if I had one good experience, I'd probably want to keep going. But I feel like I would go and it would be really boring. But obviously,
What kinds of things make you like someone to find them not boring?
I think we talked about this on our first or second talk. It's usually people that have like fleshed out ways of viewing the world, that they're like strong characters in their own right. They have like a very deep gravity well around them, and they seem like they're more than just like a reflection of whatever the current cultural trends are. So this is why I'm drawn to people like Max, right? Is like very much like that. Or like you seem like very interesting. You have like your own way of like viewing the world. Anybody that, even if I disagree with a lot of their opinions, if they have like they're a very strong character and they have like their own like way of viewing the world and their own thought process or whatever, that's usually I can get a lot of, I say get a lot of entertainment out of that. That sounds really mean, but like that's like a very fun thing for me to run. Yeah, a fun energy to share in. Okay.
Yeah. And this is making me start to think of people I know who you might really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I may have some recommendations later.
I mean, obviously, I'm a very rational person, so I imagine me and that community would just click.
I actually wasn't thinking about that one. There are definitely weirdos that you probably would like in that one too.
Mm-hmm. Have you met the Scott Alexander guy?
Yeah, he came to my my naked mask party.
Oh, okay. Are you allowed to? Did he want you to say shit like that?
He says that on his blog.
Oh, okay.
That's why I could say it.
Okay. He seems like a really interesting. All right. Well, hopefully his essays are very interesting. It would be really disappointing if I met him and he was really boring, but.
He is so funny in person. I have such intense, deep affection for Scott Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost painful for me to hold. Yeah, but he's wonderful, and he's delightful in person because he's very quiet. He's like always kind of running away. Like if you're at a party, he'll be in a corner, and then if people want to talk to him, of course, because he's Scott Alexander,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll just like slowly be surrounded by people until like he waits until two people are talking to each other, and he just like disappears in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I find very endearing.
Is he? I imagine he's probably recognized. Wait, does he? Are there like pictures of him online and stuff? Do people know what he looks like? Or I imagine at these get-togethers, you guys.
There's like 4.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I'm always was it like shy around him? Even though I'm like I know a lot of people in those circles, like and like I know L user and stuff, and I'm not shy around them at all. But there's something about him, his energy just sort of brings out a shyness in me.
Mm-hmm. Have
I
you
like him a
have you
lot.
ever done like what are like fun like real life things you've done with like rationalist people where you're like, oh, this is a really cool, unique experience. I'm glad that I have this group of people, this group of friends or something.
I mean, we have group houses. I lived in group houses for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We do the solstice every year. We have two solstices, but the big one is the winter one, where um, it's like a elaborate, semi-elaborate ritual that the community puts on for itself, and it's really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a couple experiments, like they do sometimes. There's Dragon Army Barracks, which I did not participate in, but I think that failed. They were like trying a living experiment where they tried really hard to make everybody like part of like almost like a cohesive like army system to
Okay.
whip their life into shape, which didn't work. But I like trying things. Like even if something only has a 10% chance of winning, I still like really appreciate a culture that rewards at least making some attempt just to see.
Mm-hmm.
What else have to I've thrown a lot of weird parties for the I think I'm like the weird rationalist. I'm
Okay.
like known for trying to make all of the rationalists do like really bizarre social experiments.
How big is that community? Like, if there was like a rationalist conference held in Austin, Texas, or in Los Angeles or Seattle or something, like how many people do you think are showing up to this? Like 50 or like 10,000 or like 100 or what? Yeah, what do you?
I missed the first part of the meetup question, but there's different kinds of meetups and they have different kinds of attendances. So about once a year, maybe twice, there's the meetups everywhere that Scott Alexander hosts,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some of the cities are more hubs than others. In Austin, I think there was like 150 people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
In the Bay Area, I think it's usually like I don't know, I want to guess 200 people. There's a regular meetup in Austin, which I don't go to, but it's like I think
Ooh,
20 to 30 people,
wait, why is
and
that?
in Seattle, huh?
Why don't you go to the regular meetup in Austin?
Well, I was saying I don't go to it because so nobody shows up and tries to stalk me, but like I also actually don't go to it. But it's
Wait,
just
okay, that was a
I
weird.
mean you should people should show up and go if you like enjoy it. I'm just not gonna be there.
Okay.
But no, it's fine. The I'm I'm past the point of enjoying the rationalist community here. They're wonderful people. I'm trying to figure out
Jesus,
like a
you've like
gentle way.
outgrown them. Oh my god. You're like, I'm done.
No,
I've
it's
learned
not.
what I
It's just
can from
like
these fucking clowns. Okay.
I think we're just like less culturally compatible than I am with like the super weird Bay Area rationalists.
Okay.
But they're still lovely, and I'm happy they exist.
Somebody keeps spamming in chat. They really want me to ask you what your experience was with Vibe Camp.
Which did this person go to Vibe Camp? Vibe Camp was weird. I liked it. Vibe Camp. Do you know what Vibe Camp is?
I have no idea.
Vibe Camp was like a Twitter, like the this part of Twitter group thing, and then they had a camp for people on Twitter, and it was actually really fun. Um,
Wait, did I
and
miss what
I
you said what it was? Wait, what do you
it
do?
was is a camp. Like I don't know, there's like a community that grew up on Twitter, and it's like kind of centered around like introspection, like people who are adjacent to rationality. And then they threw a camp where a bunch of people came from Twitter and met each other.
What happened? What'd you do?
There were like workshops. I threw
Okay,
a
when you say
descent into
workshop, what does workshop mean? What are you workshopping? What's happening?
uh, I did live Twitter polls. So I had a microphone in a big room and I had people physically go into sections based on votes,
Okay.
which did not end well because I decided to ask some troll questions. Uh, one of which was like sort yourself from like most to least. Like oh no, it was do you support Hitler more or less than the average person in this room? Which is very funny because obviously nobody fucking supports Hitler. Like the point of the thing is that it's a joke, and so you
Okay.
have to like sort of make some sort of social determination. Like if you're going to like signal, because there's like benefits to signaling that you like do or don't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this caused somebody to start screaming at me and like pound the table that I was speaking at and make a big scene, and it was really unpleasant.
Do
Um,
you? I feel like, and this might just be a dumb feeling I have. It might not be true at all. But I feel like the rationalist community has got to be a community that like doesn't believe as much in like the weird SJWisms and the canceling and shit. Does that happen often that you get like the tone police? I don't want to make it sound like the tone police are like bad people, but like does it happen often that you run into people like that do things like that?
Oh, that was at Vibe Camp, which is not very rationalist. It's like rationalist adjacent.
Oh, well,
So there's
rationalist
definitely,
adjacent. My bad.
yeah, it's
My bad.
adjacent. Get your shit in order
Okay.
here. Yeah, so that, but it's also, it was like a little bit bigger and not very filtered. It's like if you're on Twitter, you just buy a ticket and come. So this is just people who, some people are like a little mentally unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
The rationalists are not very cancel culture at all. The rationalists are actually quite good. They're like it's very difficult to handle things like accusations in communities. Like you don't know how to evaluate truth and you want to like make sure you encourage victims. Like it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And the rationalists are like pretty, not perfect, obviously, but like much better than most other communities I've seen it doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Vibe Camp is about this part of Twitter, also called TPOT. Oh, this part of Twitter. Interesting.
Yeah. Hey, you could come to the next one. They're having it at some point.
I'm just imagining like the most, like you're just like sitting around with a bunch of people being like, did you see like that time on Twitter that this happened? Or like, did you see this? And they're like, yeah. I mean, it must be more exciting. I just can't imagine it. Maybe I just have really bad experiences hanging out with people in real life.
Have you ever been to like a festival, like a burn?
No, I've never done a burn. Have you done Burning Man before? Have we talked about this?
I have, yeah.
Have those been fun experiences for you?
Yes.
How many times have you
But
gone?
the structure of burns is something like you create some event. So like it's participant created. So you
Yeah.
come and you're like, I want to put on this thing or this project, and so that's Vibe Camp is was full of people putting on their own projects, which was really good. Like I led my creepy ugly dance um class,
Okay.
and then the live Twitter polls and stuff.
That guy in chat said, Vibe Camp, I don't know who this guy is. He says, Vibe Camp is like Burning Man for autists.
I don't know what autism means anymore, but yeah.
Okay. I think it generally just means I think it just is it's a catch-all for like socially unaware people, basically.
No, it was fine. It was fine.
Okay.
I don't know if you know many of the people in my culture. Do you know like Curtis Yarvin?
Is that a guy I really don't like? Is that a guy I really don't like?
You might really not like him.
Oh, I think so. Is he like, was he like the modern day founder of the alt-right? Am I thinking?
Maybe.
I was supposed to debate this guy at some event, and I ended up not going because shit just got, it's a long story. And then he says I've been like dodging him ever since. But yeah, and then I also think he's very, very, very far right. That's all I've heard about him or know about him. So I don't know anything else. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think he's like not as insane as a lot of the typical super far right people.
Yeah.
Like I think he's like kind of reasonable. Like he's nice to me.
Oh, okay. That's really good. Now I can meet him, and then now I can actually get a gauge on how insane you are. So if I meet him and he's like, yeah, I wouldn't say we should kill all the Jews, but like, should they really be living in any of our countries? I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a moderate person too, Aella. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, I'm like wondering if we're thinking about different people now.
Is it my guy? Am I wrong, guys? Curtis Yarvin was like the alt-right. He's a monarchist. There was some guy, because I know, this person, Lauren Southern, said that she really wanted to debate this guy at one point because I thought she told me that he's like the founder of like all of these modern day like Breitbart and alt-right movements. It's like him. But maybe not. I don't know.
The first time I met him, I was on mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Like accidental mushrooms, and like talking to Curtis Jarvin for the first time when you're tripping is really a wonderful experience.
Was it a wonderful experience, or do you mean that sarcastically?
It was I do not mean it sarcastically.
You do not mean it. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I mean it.
Oh, you mean
literally
it
straightforwardly.
Straightforwardly. Why a fun? Is he like an interesting person to chat with, or?
Well, he likes to there's some people like you when you talk to them they sort of like kind of start speaking about their ideas a lot.
Okay.
Like one version of it I call podiuming, where it's like somebody's like the conversation is like they're behind a podium and
yes,
enlightening you.
Yeah.
So I got enlightened.
Okay.
Curtis enlightened me.
That sounds like not a good conversational partner, but maybe we just have different feelings on.
Well, I was glad for it at the time because I was bad at talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it works then.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway, this is so I'm just like calibrating the kind of like culture you know about.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of him. I guess we're supposed to argue at some point. So
Okay.
he is the architect of anti-democratic neo-reactionary politics. That's what somebody in my chat said. I don't know how true
Yeah.
that is, but okay.
Do you know like Samo? No, you probably don't know Samo.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think you know like high profile speaker or something.
Samo Berja?
Yeah,
Someone in chat said that. I don't know.
he does writing.
Are you happy to do like the polling, or is there like some other thing that you want to jump into before you're like done with the internet stuff? Is there like some other
With
big
life?
project, not life, but like is there some other big project that you want to do relating to, I guess, like stuff online? Like we talked about before, like would you ever want like an actual funded study? But I think you said that you prefer to do independent research.
Well, maybe. I mean, if somebody put a funded study on my lap, I might do it. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like with the internet, I don't know. I would like to write a book on how to stop suffering,
How do you stop
but that
suffering? Wait, well, tell us. don't don't keep that all to yourself.
well, then I need a book to do it, you
Oh my
know?
god. Can you give us like a tip? For there's a lot of suffering members of my audience right now.
Oh, like uh
Jesus. You're just
I,
gonna selfishly keep all the secrets to not suffering to yourself. That's fine, I guess, if you want to, but it's pretty shitty.
I mean, it's like the thing is like you could like say some words, but the words don't do anything. Like change your meaning frameworks. You're welcome. Now you're done.
Wow. Is there like broadly speaking, are there like one or two things that you think are like fucking most people up? Like if you could recommend like one or two different habit changes to people, or one or two different things you can only do that and everybody would implement it, what do you think would give like the biggest amount of improvement for the least amount of effort?
Have you asked this question of other people before?
Um, no, I don't think so, but I don't think anyone else has told me that they're writing a book on getting rid of world suffering.
Oh wait, but you just asked me if there's something like a tip you could implement, like a daily habit to most improve people's lives.
Yeah, to like alleviate suffering. Yeah, what would it be?
Oh, to alleviate suffering.
Yeah, well, it's like the same thing. To improve your life, to alleviate suffering, they go hand in hand, right? Like dieting would improve your life, but it would alleviate the suffering of being obese, right? They're kind of two sides of the same
Uh,
coin.
okay, well, yeah. I don't know. I think there's like this confusion where a lot of people think that like lack of suffering means lack of pain, and so I just wanted to like often improving your life means like reducing pain, where this is not necessarily the same thing as reducing suffering.
What do you mean when you say reducing suffering?
Like, you know, when you suffer and then some part of your brain is like, ah, reality is shearing at the joints. This should not be.
That sounds like a really bad mushroom trip. I don't know what you mean by suffering, so tell me.
Well, it's possible that you don't suffer. I asked you a bunch of like calibrating questions to see what your suffering level was, like much earlier, and it doesn't seem like you suffer.
Okay.
So you might not know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, I'm not buying this book, then I'm pirating it, okay? If it's not going to help me at all, all right? I'm not giving you fucking money for it, all right?
Have you ever suffered?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Wait, what is it to you then?
um, oof, that's a really bad mental. The answer that I immediately want to say probably says more about me than I would like to, but it's probably when I feel like I don't have control over things. So it's going to
Hmm.
largely be things involving other people because they fall outside of like what I can directly control. So when people are making choices that hurt me, or when people are doing things to themselves, like killing themselves, that hurts me, like those are the types of things that probably would cause me suffering. Um, Most things that I do that are within my control, if they do make me upset, I either change them or I get over them pretty quickly. So yeah, and then I don't tend to rely on many people for a lot of things, so I don't have to deal with that too much.
So you just described like categories of things that do and don't cause suffering, but I'm curious like what it is, like what is the sensation like?
Um, I guess the sensation would be like the most type of suffering is like when there's a thing that makes you feel sad. Am I allowed to say that? Feeling sad, but I don't have control over that thing. That would be like a type of suffering, I guess. Or you're looking for
Sad,
somebody,
but you don't
or you're looking for something like more fundamental. Like if you lose a friend, that would be like a type of suffering. Like, oh, I've lost a
like
friend.
lost?
Sure, yeah.
Did oh, okay. So is all loss suffering for you? But you said not control, so it seems like there's like another element of it.
Is all loss suffering? Not necessarily, but I mean like maybe. Um, Definitionally, no. There's gonna be some things you lose you don't care about. I think it's probably if you lose something that you don't want to lose. That's where the suffering is, right? So like there are a lot of friends I've lost that I don't really care much about, and then there are some friends that I've lost that I care a great deal about that I don't want to lose, but I'm losing them anyway. So that's like suffering, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess like maybe like if we move it definitionally, like to define loss as like losing a thing that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, of course. I would imagine so, right? Like, oh my God, lost. Like I lost 50 pounds. Like I'm so sad. Like that wouldn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you, suffering is like losing something that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be suffering for most people, right?
Yeah. I think that it's I think that there's like a difference like when I said shearing reality at the joints, I think there's some sort of subconscious narrative that the loss should not have occurred. Like it is not simply that you lost something you don't like it, but that you lost it and this is a violation in some way.
Hmm. Maybe. I usually have
Do you
like
have
a I feel like I
Go
have a
ahead.
pretty good understanding of why things happen, even if I don't want them to, or it makes me sad. So it's not like a shearing of reality, I guess. So like if I think back to something recent where I lost something that really bothered me, I really don't want to lose it, but I didn't share reality. I understood why everything happened the way that it did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes I suspect that like for a lot of people suffering isn't quite that conscious. Like if they might be suffering about a loss and then they can explain to you causally like why the thing happened,
Hmm.
but there's still some sort of frame inside that's like and this is incorrect. You know?
Yeah, I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I just maybe I don't experience that one as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Because
think
I
this
think
is why I'm saying like
there's a lot of suffering that happens if I put on my sympathy cap now and I'm trying to think. There's a lot of suffering that happens where people are doing things and people don't understand. Like people are like, why did somebody cheated on me and now my reality is sharing because I thought they loved me and they did this thing and now I don't understand and I'm really confused and my whole sense of identity and reality and self is like completely broken. Like that might be an example of what you're talking about.
um yeah, I think that not necessarily, but it could be. My guess is you probably actually don't experience suffering in the way that I'm trying to define it.
Maybe not. So like
Like,
I made an explicit effort this past year to make more friends. That was something I tried to do because people said it's a good idea. So Max was one of the people that I talked to, and then Max ended up doing the worst, not coup d'etat, coup de grace, backstab or whatever of anybody ever in my entire life. And I was like, oh well, that's pretty shitty. But I don't like. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't understand why this happened. Like I spent a little bit of time. I figured, okay, well, why does this happen? Like, what am I miscalculating here? Like, how could he do this? Like, okay, I understand now. It still feels shitty. Like it's dumb that happened, but I understand it. Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So maybe you're just enlightened. I don't know,
Well, I don't think I'm enlightened. I just try to
but
under.
I don't think it's a big deal to be enlightened. It's like very casual.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it
It's
was
not,
yesterday
don't
after
take it.
I got a really big hot chocolate and they made it perfectly, and I think the enlightenment hit me somewhere after that. Oh,
Yeah,
the final condition,
yeah. There
guys.
you got it.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I'm trying to discuss is like I'd like to help people stop the sheer. Uh, like when I was like got abused as a kid and then I grew up and then people are like, oh, that was so terrible. And I was really fucked up about it. I think I was suffering because I had a belief that that should not have happened. Like my dad should have loved me. It's like a thing that I would keep saying. It would sound terrible. Like I knew all of the reasons why it had happened. Um,
Mm-hmm. That,
but
yeah, that makes more sense. Like, wanting people to understand what's happening. Like going back to the cheating example earlier. That's a really good one because I think a lot of people think that if somebody's cheating on me, that destroys like a person's world when they get cheated on. It's like the worst thing that could ever happen to them because it like betrays so much of their self-esteem, self-confidence, et cetera, et cetera. So like having to explain to them like, well, just because somebody cheats on you, one, it's not even necessarily reflective of how they view you. It doesn't mean they hate you or whatever. And then two, you don't have to view yourself significantly different just because it happens. Like helping somebody kind of understand those things is probably good for them. Because it helps alleviate that reality shear, maybe. I don't know if I'm at all close to where you're talking
yeah,
about.
I think the thing I'm trying to point out is like a more subtle mental motion that people do.
Like what? Give
Uh,
me an example.
like I don't know how to describe. I mean, I haven't suffered in a while, so I'll try to remember what it was like.
What was like what was the last like bad suffering event that you endured? Maybe if it's too private, I guess you don't have to say it.
I think I had like a little bit when I had like a random anxiety, I think physically induced anxiety for a while, and I didn't know why. And I was taking it as some sort of sign of personal failing. Like, I haven't figured out how to be like introspective enough to stop the anxiety. And that felt bad.
Just having anxiety and not knowing how to get rid of the anxiety?
Yeah, well, thinking it was a personal failing.
Huh. Have you ever been on like SSRIs or anything like that before? Or?
No.
Gotcha. Okay. I think I've asked you that before.
I think the anxiety was actually due to a bad MDMA trip. Like by bad, I mean it was in Burning Man and I got severely dehydrated.
Gotcha.
And something about that like fucked up my I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened with that, but that's my guess.
Oh fuck, I had a question and I just fucking forgot it.
How close are you to finishing this game?
I just did the last research. I just have to fly this ship at a certain speed for 250 seconds and I'm fucking free.
You're saying you're 250 seconds away from finishing this game?
Well, I have to fly to make sure it's going fast enough, but like, yeah, it'll happen within like the next hour. Probably as soon as we're done chatting, I will fly this motherfucker through space and I'll be done. I'll be fucking free.
Wow, how long have you been playing Factorio?
This mod pack, I think like 6 months. It's been destroying my fucking life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
I was just there's like the podcast I was on, and then he wanted to like maybe play a video game afterwards. I was like, we could do Factorio, and he's like, I can't. Just save it for Destiny.
Wait, what? You suggested you guys play Factorio?
Well, he wanted to play a video game. I don't know. We could. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
But I couldn't play Factorio because he was saving it for you. I think you're the Factorio person.
Wait, who was this person?
The podcast I was on just recently, I told you about.
Oh.
Maybe you forgot. It's okay.
Never mind. No, I remember. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the one guy, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know.
Good job with the physical comedy.
Thanks.
I need to go get ready for my date.
Okay. Well, be careful. Have fun. I like your aggressive suggestion to split the bill. Nice job on that. And yeah.
I'm a progressive woman.
Nice job. Stay safe, okay?
Okay. Good luck with Factorio.
Thanks.
Have fun.
Yep, have fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very special night.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Have fun. Bye.